Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Apron Bumps, episode 25. In season 2 now, because I'm counting these seasons year by year. So that's the easy way to do it. So 2020 was season 1. 2021 now season 2. So we're in the midst of a second season already. I have my
We're like quarter of 100 now too.
Yeah. So I got my wonderful co-host back with me, Gabe Nozid. He also did the Takeover Vengeance Day review with me just a couple weeks ago, almost close to a month ago now, and we are about to go over the first All Elite pay-per-view of the year. Now, what's hard about this is, unlike WWE where they post like some certain camera shots from the events, it's really hard to come by like AEW screenshots of like the finishes for matches and the winners getting their arms raised, stuff like that. It's really, for whatever reason, there's not really a whole lot of them. It's like they post Twitter clips instead of like actual and screenshots and stuff like that. So I am going with the dud of an explosion, which we'll talk about at the conclusion of the show, as just the main overlay that I talk over and that you hear our voices over and that you can laugh at throughout the podcast. I thought that dud of an explosion would have been a pretty good visual for this show because, you know, I don't think it was bad. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it was a bad show. It was good. But compared to like Full Gear in November and even last year's Revolution, just maybe not to the level that we're used to from AEW would be a kind way to say it, because I don't think it was bad. Like, it wasn't like I was super bored or checked out. I think you actually disliked the show more than I did, Gabe, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it wasn't a bad show. It was just boring for me until certain points, and we'll get to those eventually. I'll let you all know like what I thought was a peak in positivity, but overall, it wasn't a negative, but it was just boring, and I almost fell asleep a couple times. Not gonna lie. So
yeah. So we're gonna get down to it. So Maki Ito on the pre-show made her AEW debut. Just so you know, there.
Oh man,
yeah.
You don't even know how excited I was, Brady.
About her being competing on AEW television now officially.
This was the biggest surprise. Surprisingly, out of all the surprises that they gave us on this show, Maki Ito was obviously the best one because it wasn't foreshadowed. And as I've heard multiple times, like it's better to not, really, foreshadow some of these like returns or debuts because it may not compare to the hype, and it definitely didn't to the last two like surprises. And we'll get to there. But yeah, Maki Ito was my favorite because we didn't expect it, especially she just came from the Eliminator tournament in Japan. So we don't know like how these like guidelines are for traveling outside of your country to another, especially in these times. But it looks like it's about to like be better since the vaccines are starting to come up now.
The fact that like Kenta, Riho, Maki Ito, Mizunami are all in the States doing stuff for this promotion must mean something.
Kenta's, I think he's been here in America.
Has he been? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, because he's been wrestling with New Japan Strong, which is the America's New Japan like show. And then he also said Riho. She's actually been here in America as well, I believe. But what's her name? Yeah, Hikaru Shida. She actually traveled to Japan.
I know.
For this Eliminator
to organize it.
Yeah, to organize and commentate. So that's interesting how these, I don't know what these travel guidelines are, but it's just interesting to see.
So I didn't see much of this. I tuned in for the last little bit to test out my stream, and I caught a bit of it. It was largely fine from what I seen. I mean, it was just a basic match to air before the pay-per-view. It's funny that
it was a fine pre-show or kickoff. Like I liked it.
It was what it was. The heels won, which I didn't anticipate because
it's just weird that they make Maki Ito the heel, because like no matter where you go, everyone is hyped for her. Twitter, YouTube, even in the fans, like in the bleachers over there in the show, they were all cheering, and she's like hyping herself up like the face, like she's singing and dancing and smiling, like she's no heel other than the action she's done, like I guess like in the show when she I think did the run-in for the end of that women's title match. But other than that, yeah, she's to me and everyone else a face, but I guess on paper she's a heel. I mean, it's kind of weird, but I know she's a heel in Japan. That's because she's like she's smiling and all that as a get up. Like she wants all the attention, for lack of a better term, an attention whore. But so
Yeah, she's like a professional troll is like a part of her gimmick.
basically,
Like
that
throwing out
yeah.
simps on Twitter and all that shit
Yeah, and
she
we're not
does.
supposed to like a character like this, but we do, and it's awesome. So it's like one of those heel turns that people don't really seem to heel on. You know,
Yeah.
like let's say Roman Reigns is heel. I bet you if Roman's in an audience, everyone's gonna be cheering for him. Same thing for Maki Ito that happened last Sunday. So it's just one of those heel turns.
Yeah, Thunder Rosa actually took the pin. Now, granted, it was for an object. I'm pretty sure it was the finish.
Yeah, that was
But,
a nice
yeah.
shot by Rebel. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Rebel. I'm not a big fan of her. I don't know much she did in TNA, but that was a nice shot.
She
And
had a horrible match with.
we don't want to talk about that. With,
Yeah, I forget her
Shelly
name.
Martinez.
Yeah, I remember that because of how bad it was.
Everyone did.
But
That's what, -5 stars in the Wrestling Observer.
however low they gave it. But I'm just saying, like, as far as what I knew of her before her being with AEW and Britt Baker, that's like some of my lasting images of her, which, you know, only up from there, right, Gabe? Only up from there. So
It can only go up from there.
yeah. So anyway, Rebel gets involved. She hits Thunder Rosa with I forget what the object was that she had, but
It's a crutch.
yeah, the crutch. Yeah, hits her in the head. Britt gets the pin. It's like 2 times that Britt has gotten one over on Thunder Rosa, which is interesting. I guess they want to keep it going for whatever reason. Maybe.
Now I want to hear this, Braden. Do you know why they removed Rebel for this match? Because she was scheduled for this match, and I think she was also scheduled for another match, this Dynamite.
It just seemed to me that they wanted Maki instead because they wanted to do the debut, and they just pulled a bait and switch. Is what I got.
That's what I thought too.
Is that not what actually happened, or are we just speculating here?
Oh, I mean, I heard no news on it, but that's what I'm speculating.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the reason why Rebel is quote unquote injured is because they want to debut
this new talent, this talent
Yeah.
from the Japanese side of the tournament. Yeah, I just thought it was
Because they only gave her like one match in the tournament, and then she had a match, an exhibition match, a 3-on-3. And yeah, I mean, we definitely want to see more Maki Ito. So I'm glad that they brought her over.
Yeah, that was my conclusion for why they did what they did. So, I mean, it does seem like she's like legitimately hurt. I don't think anyway, but
yeah, no.
As we'll find out tonight, I suppose, on Dynamite. So,
and it's great that she's quote unquote hurt, because like I'm not gonna lie, I like this like interference that she's giving Britt, because it's definitely getting me to her not like this heel group of Rebel and Britt.
Yeah,
so
she's on a crutch
good.
like Britt had to be legitimately, because Britt actually got legitimately injured her. I think she injured her knee last spring or something like that.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now Rebel's on the crutch, so there's some more crutch shenanigans going on. Sturdy.
I'm liking this. I'm liking this duo. I don't know about
tactics.
you, Braden. Like, do you like these guys? These Britt and Rebel?
Yes, I do. I think they're a highlight of the women's division. They definitely have the most character development out of anybody on the roster who's female. I would say that's not even up for debate. They have the most development. They get the most promo time, and I think it should be leading somewhere. Where that is I don't know, with how the Thunder Rosa thing's playing out, it makes me think like maybe Thunder's gonna get one over on her, and maybe like the women's title is gonna become a part of that feud at some point.
It seems like it, because we're having the faces fight the heels this Dynamite Wednesday. So
yeah, which we'll get into what happened at the conclusion of the women's title match a little later on. But it seems like, which means that like Britt or Thunder got to beat Shida for the belt randomly to get it to be involved in their feud. But I guess we'll see.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a triple threat, Braden.
Yeah, they could build to that too. That's a pretty easy fix. So. Are we think of that it's going to be like Double or Nothing time, or something that happens on television?
I don't know. That's a good question.
And we'll talk about it a little more when we cover the women's title match. So the actual pay-per-view itself opened up with the Young Bucks defending the AEW World Tag Team titles against Chris Jericho and MJF. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting this to be the opener, but I'm not complaining. You know, I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice. So, it was a pretty fast-paced match. I mean, Jericho actually had a pay-per-view worthy performance here. Now, granted, he was in a tag match, which means, you know, you don't have to do as much. But I thought he actually looked pretty good in this match compared to, like, previous fucking matches I've seen him in leading up to this this pay-per-view. I think he wanted to maybe prove that he could still go. He did a springboard drop kick perfectly fine, and the tags in and out. They got the heat on both Matt and Nick at different portions of this match, cut them off and all that. Every time like the Young Bucks would, it was laid out pretty good, because every time like the Young Bucks would try to do their thing with their big comeback and doing all their high flying stuff, MJF or Jericho would find like this old school heel way to cut them off and kind of beat them down. They would isolate either Matt from Nick, Nick from Matt, and that's kind of how it went. But then there were portions where, in true AEW fashion, both teams just kind of sprint and do their shit back and forth, because that's always kind of how they work shit in that promotion. But it was pretty good. Like there was a couple times where they went for like the Meltzer driver and the Indie Taker, and then one person, either Jericho or MJF, would pull the other who was about to do the springboard off the apron and kind of post them or throw them into the steps and all that. And then of course there was the underlying thing of Matt and Nick being furious that their father had been allegedly bludgeoned behind the scenes and destroyed by Jericho and MJF leading up to this match. So there were times where Matt and Nick's temper would take over, and they would take down either Jericho or MJF, do the ground and pound to the referee, had to come in and stop. So there was some heat both ways, we could say. It was just like it was like a usual Young Bucks tag team match, but I thought the action was decently fast and fluid. I thought it opened up the show to a great standard, and for a long time I thought this was actually the match of the night when it came to it, because the finish ended up coming where finally, after trying for so long, the Young Bucks are able to just have Jericho in the ring with no MJF involved, and they end up hitting the Meltzer driver on Jericho to pin him. Now, there were a couple other highlights, like Jericho ended up having a malfunction at the junction where he hit the Judas effect on Wardlow and took him out, and Nick did that beautiful springboard Shawn Michaels like moonsault onto MJF on the floor, which is, I think, always looks nice. He has a really, really great like diving moonsault to the outside. I think Nick Jackson does. Those were a couple key highlights. I thought it was a great opener, to be honest. I did think it was a great way to start the show. What did you think of this match, Gabe? What are maybe some of your highlights, and what did you think of it overall?
No, yeah, overall it's a great opener. I did enjoy it. No real complaints for this one. It's yeah, I mean, it's just that the obvious outcome was going to be the Young Bucks, because I don't know if anyone foresaw MJF and Jericho winning, but hell of a match though. It did make me believe, like, sometimes, because Jericho putting here's a highlight for me. He put the walls of Jericho on. I forgot which Buck.
Yeah, he put it on Matt.
Matt first. Okay, so Matt Jackson got it, and then he was able to tag out, and then he put it on Nick.
That was a very clever spot. He bullied both of them down to get them both in the submission. Yeah.
Very clever way to stay on top of things. So I really like that spot. He was able to feint the other Young Buck while in the submission. Like Nick tried some offense. Jericho kind of ducked a bit while releasing the initial submission. And Nick's malfunction at the junction of missing Jericho, who dodged while releasing the previous submission, caused him to get caught in the second submission. You know what I mean? So it was a very clever way to do it, to transition from one Buck to the other. I thought that was a very good, well done spot. That's true. I forgot about that one. Yeah, other than that, the story was just to hit overall the Meltzer driver. I remember there was a spot where
they tried for it a couple times. It was a key part of the match.
I believe Nick tried to go springboard and do the front flip seated senton, and he missed because I think Matt was not there. Whatever, Buck. But yes, it was a good story. And then as soon as they hit the Meltzer driver, it was lights out. So yeah, good match. Great opener. I don't think any other placement for this match would have done better. So yeah,
if you're not last, you might as well be first, right? So
yeah, that's a great saying. As soon as Jericho told the world that, I think he told Kevin Owens that one night, and Kevin Owens did not understand that for the longest time until he's had a couple openers himself. So yeah, Jericho being the opener is definitely always a highlight. So it's a good match. I liked it a lot.
I really think
thumb and a half.
Yeah, I give it 2. I thought it was good enough for 2.
2?
Definitely. Yeah, I give it 2.
For me, I just didn't think Wardlow should have been there. Because when he was interfering, he didn't really add much. I think he just did some stomps and even missed a couple, which was not planned to miss. But it's funny either way. And you said he had some malfunction.
Yeah, him eating a Judas Effect.
Judas Effect. I think that's his whole point of having him out there.
Yeah, it was just so he could take the accidental finish from the person he's supposed to be a bodyguard for. So.
Yeah, but I feel like you could have had more miscommunication, or another way of miscommunication, for MJF and Jericho than just to hit Wardlow, because they're having this war meeting, right? For Dynamite.
Tonight they are doing that tonight. Yes.
Yeah, so I feel like other than the loss, I think Juice Effect to Wardlow will be brought up, but I don't know. I just thought that there could have been other ways to add more disconnect, but that's just one of them, I guess, to incorporate Wardlow into the storyline. But hey, we'll see.
All right, I got it.
It's surprising there was no Sammy though, because people were saying Sammy's gonna run in, but no Sammy or even Papa Buck. So
yeah, nah, people really expected run-ins galore, and this was actually kind of like one of the cleaner matches of
definitely
of the night, which is interesting. Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought it was a great opener. I give it 2 thumbs up. It was definitely the strongest thing on this show for a long time afterward, which...
I can agree.
Yeah, we'll kind of get into that too. So, although this next match that followed it, I think I liked this a lot more than other people did. It was the Casino Tag Team Royale. Now, I have the Wikipedia open because I got to remember the entrance. There's no way I was going to remember that many teams in the order in which they all came out. Maybe by doing that I'll be able to remember the eliminations better, but I got to know the order of which the teams came out. So there was 15 teams total, which is an odd number. Cursed. A joke. So, and then the winners, again, if half your team got eliminated, you could still end up winning individually. Like, both members of the tag team had to be eliminated to be completely out of this thing. That was the rules of it. And it was done...
It makes sense, yeah.
And it was done kind of Royal Rumble style, where they do like a timer that counts down to the next team. I forget what the intervals were. They might have been 90 seconds.
90 seconds. Like, it was straight 90 seconds. Like, there was no... so in the Royal Rumble, they quote-unquote say it's 90 seconds.
They either let some go really short, or they let some go a little longer. It's not ever really, like, fully 90.
Yeah, but what I respect is in WWE, they let the entrant have their spot, and as soon as it seems like, okay, their spot is done, then WWE will put in the 10, 9, so.
Yeah. Well, this company...
It was just a bit rushed.
It was, and there was, like, I think a little too many teams. But we'll get to it. So, like...
Too many teams? Oh, Brayden, no, it's not just too many teams. It's too many of the same teams. We'll get to the list of who's in there.
Yeah, like the Dark Order taking 3 spots.
Dark Order was my main gripe. I'm like, why is there 3 teams?
Well, I going into this match, thought that would mean that they would all end up really helping each other and get somewhere with it, but they didn't. It didn't help them at all. They were spaced out and all eliminated with each other. Like, all 4 members of the Dark Order that proceeded before John Silver and Alex Reynolds were out by the time Silver and Reynolds got out there. But anyway, so the Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, started this thing against the Dark Order's 5 and 10. So that's like the people who just go by numbers, although they also refer them as Allen, Angels, and Preston Vance on commentary. They either call them by their full names or they just call them by their number, which are 5 and 10 of the Dark Order. Then afterwards, Santana and Ortiz end up coming out. At some point during this schmoz, 5 gets eliminated from the battle royal, but since 10 is still in there, that means that the team is still alive. Afterwards, the Seidel brothers, Matt and Mike, come out, and they happen to also end up being the next few eliminated, because then the Dark Order's Evil Uno and Stu Grayson end up coming in. The OG members, the original members of the Dark Order, come out, and it's during this entrance that both Matt and Mike get dumped. Then Gun Club comes out, Austin and Colton Gunn. Of course, the sons of Billy Gunn are out next.
One of them looks exactly like Billy Gunn.
I know, like identical.
Straight up early 90s. I think it was Colton. Colton was the one, I think.
Billy's taught his kids to hit that famouser pretty good, eh? They got it just like their dad. They can hit that.
They have to. Oh, if they don't.
I know, it's a failure. I agree. Yeah. I agree. So, then when these guys entered, I couldn't help but roll my eyes, but then in came the pretty picture, which is Pretty Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi.
Well, a team. I don't remember Cesar Bononi being partners with Peter Avalon.
I don't. They were just like thrown. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they were literally thrown together for this battle royal. Like it wouldn't even.
Well, they were wearing matching trunks and like that, so
well,
they must have been together for some time.
I don't know. I have maybe on Dark.
Probably on Dark because I haven't seen them.
I don't watch that either because on Dynamite I've not seen these guys team up once, dude. I'm telling you. Not on Dynamite. Maybe on Dark they have. But anyway, Pretty Peter gets tossed shortly after he enters, but. Cesar is still in there, so the team is still very much at play here. After that, we get the Varsity Blondes, which I'm actually a big fan of them. I wish they would get more match time.
A lot of people are fans of them. I'm surprised in how many fans they have. They're so underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Pillman Jr. is great, and Griff just knows how to work with him. So I mean, he's
really great baby faces.
Yeah, they work together well as a team. Pillman has pretty much all that. I don't know if it's genetically handed down, but he gets the business like his dad did, and he's got a lot of potential. And he
Griff, looks just as good as his dad too. Not gonna lie, not as close as Colton and Billy because they look identical, but yeah, no, Brian Pillman Jr. does look almost exactly like Senior.
And they stayed in there for a while. They were in there for a good portion after they entered. Afterwards is Bear Country. This is the big men, Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson. We're next.
There's two Bronsons in professional wrestling that are big.
And they're
men.
big.
Yeah.
So it's like okay. At some point, Austin Gunn ended up getting tossed. Oh, yes, because Austin and Colton, they double teamed to get rid of I think, Cesar Bononi, and then QT Marshall dumped them from behind, and then Dustin just ends up getting in QT's face about dumping Gun Club because they're part of the Nightmare family or whatever. And
did you know that?
I didn't know that till they mentioned it on commentary.
Me
so, I was like, okay, whatever. But still, it's like, Dustin, whether they are or not, don't you want the tag title shot? Who cares if they get eliminated and they're part of your faction? Look at the Dark Order. They probably would have eliminated each other at the end to get that.
Yeah, here's what's dumb, too. Like, I was mad that QT Marshall, he eliminated himself.
Yeah, I was about to get to that.
And Dustin he still fought.
Yeah, so QT gets pissed at Dustin for reprimanding him for trying to win. So he spits in Dustin's face, leaps over the top rope on purpose, and eliminates himself. So that was that, and then Dustin just kind of shrugs his shoulders and wipes the spit out of his face and keeps working. So Dustin would have been fine teaming with that guy again if they would have won the Battle Royal.
Same thing. Like,
I think JR also said the same thing on commentary. You know, I wouldn't have been fine with teaming with that guy.
I just left myself. Like,
fuck
okay,
it, I'm done. I'm jumping over the top rope now.
Exactly.
Because like if Dustin won, him and QT would have got the tag title shot. Whatever, it's what it is. So after that, we go now to. Oh yeah, so then shortly after this, Stu Grayson ends up getting tossed. Evil Uno is still very much in this thing, and I'm going to talk about his elimination when it comes up because wow, what a. Bless his heart for trying it. But anyway, then Jurassic Express are next. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, who were not actually advertised going into the pay-per-view, I don't think.
That's crazy.
Like, I knew they were going to probably be in it, but they were never officially advertised. Because if they were, I would have mentioned them in my predictions like I did Death Triangle, who we'll get to.
Jurassic Express is crazy hot. Like, almost everyone...
I know!
In the wrestling community talks about them and all the positives, especially Jungle Boy. Everyone loves Jungle Boy. As soon as they entered, you heard the crowd go on
wild.
The chant didn't even go on in the song yet, but you heard the audience go for two whole minutes or so.
His athletic work is great. He looks great. Like he looks like a star. He is the most just when you see him work. He kind of reminds me of Ricky Steamboat a bit in the sense.
Ricky Steamboat? That's a good comparison.
So the reason that I say that is because it's like his athletic underdog performance in the ring is so endearing, it gets people to naturally like him and get behind him. Is how it works with him, and he's got huge potential. And I think Jurassic Express should become tag champs by the end of the year. I think they should.
These guys. So. You know the new show Dark Elevation, right?
Yep.
I'm telling you, they're going to be top of the card, Jurassic Express, if they do go there. because of course not a lot of people are gonna stick to Dynamite with this new Dark Elevation. It's gonna be like their NXT of sorts. So if Jurassic Express does go to Elevation, they're gonna be on top of that card. I'm telling you, especially Jungle Boy himself.
Yeah, I still think they should be sticking with Dynamite mainly. Like they should.
I think they should too, but I have a feeling that I have a feeling they might be on Elevation. So
nah, I think they're gonna. After this, I mean, I'd be surprised if they got relegated to that. Not that it's a bad thing, but after the reaction that Jungle Boy got on this show, holy shit, I'd be surprised about that. Then the Butcher and the Blade are next. After that, we've got Private Party ends up coming out for the eliminations, though. So now who was the last person I said was eliminated? Oh, yeah, Grayson of the Dark Order. So after that, Ortiz ends up getting eliminated. At some point after Ortiz gets eliminated by... because Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus just got in there and they tossed a bunch of people. That's right. Jungle Boy tosses Ortiz. Luchasaurus dumps Cesar Bononi. Then the Butcher and the Blade get in there, and the Butcher ends up eliminating, sadly... Oh, no, then then Santana gets tossed by Jungle Boy. Griff Garrison gets tossed by Luchasaurus. Now Brian Pillman Jr. is all by himself. As I said, the Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus got in there, and they cleaned house. They eliminated a bunch of people. Then Butcher and the Blade get in there, and... Also, I keep forgetting about this. I was supposed to get to this elimination. So Evil Uno is on the apron, and Marco Stunt ends up running interference for Jurassic Express because Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are going nuts, and he does like this Hurricane Rana to Evil Uno, who does the most ridiculous oversell I'd ever seen. He runs after this Hurricane Rana, and he jumps into what seemed like the ring post and bounced off and flummoxed to the floor. I was like, God bless him for trying that, but my God, did that ever look goofy? What'd you think of that elimination? I'm sure you remember what I speak of.
Shoot. Well, yeah, I don't remember it.
You don't remember that? Okay.
No. I was gonna butt in real quick because speaking of eliminations, I was wondering like why these interferences, like they were kind of quick cut, like you could barely see it on camera. Like example, Jack Evans. You would just see him.
Oh,
like,
that
outside.
I didn't see at all. If it wasn't for the commentary.
Yeah, some people would bring him up like, oh yeah, he eliminated this person. You would just see him on ringside. Oh dang, I guess he did eliminate so and so. And I have another gripe about this match. Why wasn't some teams in here? But we had duplications like Dark Order. So TH2 wasn't in it, and the Acclaimed wasn't in it. But we had Max Caster in the ladder match.
Top Flight were scheduled for this thing, and they didn't even show up.
Top Flight too, exactly.
They were scheduled. They were in the match graphic. Jurassic Express wasn't, but Top Flight was. They were nowhere to be found. They had the pretty pictures in there. Like, I don't know. Like,
so those three teams, like I would have expected them in there, but
yeah, Top Flight was scheduled. They were in the match graphic. They were advertised, and they were not in this thing. So it's like, okay, alrighty. So yeah, so
what's the point for Sorry, but I just want to ask real quick. What's the point of TH2 like doing these interferences if they weren't in the match now? Like, couldn't they like make a story for them in the match? Like,
well, who did they attack? Do you remember who Jack Evans attacked on commentary?
I don't remember. I just remember Jack Evans was just creeping on the corner, and then they showed him on camera.
He attacked number 10 of the Dark Order, who was in there forever. And there was this thing on television where all of a sudden Jack Evans is like one of Matt Hardy's hired guns to destroy the Dark Order because of their association with Hangman Page. So he attacked 10 and cost him a match against Max Caster for the ladder match. And Big Money Matt paid him money for doing that. But then why does he continue to go after if he got his payout? So I don't know why he's continuing to go after 10 of the Dark Order after Matt paid him on last Wednesday. But there's some maybe to fill in something for you of why you might have been out there, storyline-wise. Though, they didn't even catch him on camera. I know they didn't.
They did not. That's the gripe I had.
Because 10 just kind of fell off the apron. You could barely see it. And then the commentators had to tell you, oh, it's Jack Evans hit him and blah, blah, blah. But I know for a fact the camera didn't get any of that elimination at all. At all. So that was after Brian Pillman Jr. got eliminated by the Butcher shortly before that. So both of the Varsity Blondes are out. The Butcher, the Blade, the the bunny herself and Luchasaurus. He was in there. But basically, the Butcher and the Blade, with help from the bunny or Allie, end up eliminating Dustin Rhodes, and he's out. Dustin fought valiantly, and he just got eliminated. I can't believe he's fine with trying to team with a person who turned on him earlier in the Battle Royal, but I guess he was fine with that. But anyway, he gets eliminated. So after that, Luchasaurus ends up getting eliminated by both the Big Bears. He's out of this thing. So now Jungle Boy is 100% all by himself. And this kind of played into the story that Jungle Boy was going to try and valiantly win this thing by himself, which for a while was the story I thought they were going to end with. But they didn't. Afterwards, we get Private Party getting in there. They're heels now. It's weird.
It is weird.
They're weird. That's weird. SCU is out next. Kaz and Daniels. Death Triangle then came out, Pac and Ray Phoenix, and then last of all, the Dark Order's Alex Reynolds and John Silver are the last entrants for this thing. Both members of Bear Country end up getting eliminated by the Butcher. Surprisingly, dump both of them.
Yeah, that was a really surprising elimination.
Yeah, I would have thought it'd been the other way around, where the Bears eliminate both the Butcher and the Blade, but
nothing wrong with the Butcher, but it's just really odd person
that he gets both of them, about both of them.
Yeah.
He just dumps them both. Okay, fair enough. After that, speaking of which, the Blade ends up getting eliminated by Death Triangle. Both members of Private Party get eliminated. Quen gets eliminated by Death Triangle, while Cassidy ends up getting eliminated by Silver and Reynolds. The Butcher then gets eliminated by SCU. Daniels then ends up getting eliminated by Ray Phoenix. Kaz is hanging in there, not for too much longer though. Reynolds ends up getting dumped by Jungle Boy, and right after this, Kaz ends up getting dumped by Pac. And then it's just down to the three teams left, which is just John Silver, the only lasting member of the Dark Order, Jungle Boy, the only remaining member of Jurassic Express, and both members of Death Triangle. So John Silver ends up running wild. Him and Pac have this great exchange. I want to see that singles match, by the way, after they had that exchange near the end of this Battle Royal. I need to see this future John Silver versus
That's pay-per-view. That's pay-per-view worthy, in my opinion.
I would say so. I enjoyed every bit of that brief exchange that they had. And then Silver just ends up getting caught, and Ray Phoenix eliminates him. So now we're down to all of Death Triangle and only Jungle Boy. So this is where I thought for sure that Jungle Boy was going to kind of do the big comeback, and he was going to end up valiantly eliminating both members of Death Triangle. He does end up getting the better of Pac, and then it comes down to just Jungle Boy and Ray Phoenix, and they have a fantastic final Battle Royal exchange. Very high-paced action. They're both hitting each other with Hurricane Ranas and arm drags, and they're hitting all their big, cool stuff. And then in the end, Ray Phoenix is able to eliminate Jungle Boy in a great finale to win this for Death Triangle. And now Ray Phoenix and Pac are the number one contenders to the Young Bucks. I thought it was very good overall and got great by the end. This tag team royale.
Yeah, it definitely picked up as soon as the timer went off.
Once all the teams were in there, and it kind of got more to the better teams, save for the end, and kind of the highlight at the end is when it really started peaking. But I thought some of the action in the lead up was good. I don't think it was all bad. Like I said, I enjoyed much of it, even if some of the entrants seemed rushed and some of the eliminations were kind of funky. I never got bored during this match. I thought
this wasn't boring at all.
Yeah. So I was entertained by this thing throughout, and I thought it got really fantastic by the end in the last few teams in there. So
no, the only bad thing about it is just it was rushed, and not all the teams got enough spotlight. But it is what it is with their actual shoot 90-second timer, and it was overall still an interesting match. Not boring at all, and it has picked up every time a team entered, surprisingly. So it was a good match. I cannot disagree anything you said, though.
Yeah, I would say it's a solid thumb and a half for me. Solid thumb and a half.
Thumb and a half as well.
So I thought it was a fine follow-up to the great opener. And then we kind of take a bit of a dive. So next up was Hikaru Shida defending the AEW Women's title against Ryo Mizunami. Now, I was glad that Ryo got in this match because when Nyla Rose made it to the finals, I was like, are they really going to do a third pay-per-view title match between Shida and Nyla Rose? My God, I don't want that.
It sounds like Charlotte.
My God, Sasha. I don't want that. So you're going to do it a double or nothing, Full Gear, and Revolution? Oh, my Lord. I did not want that. So then when Mizunami won, I'm like, okay, so they're putting over a person for the Japanese side, and the Japanese side winner is going to face Shida. Great. Perfect. No Nyla Rose in another pay-per-view title match against Shida. Perfect. Fresh new
I have
match.
a question, though, for this tournament.
Yeah.
Who would you have wanted in the finals for the tournament, from the American side and from the Japan side?
I would have done Britt Baker and Yuka Sakazaki.
That's exactly what I've been hearing and what I've been wanting as well.
Yeah. Well, it's because of the story.
Sense.
It's the story. If you have a long-term memory and you remember what happened before the pandemic, is Yuka Sakazaki had a match against Britt Baker right after she turned heel. And Britt ended up I think it was she lost due to a fluke.
She lost a tooth or something like that, right?
No, she lost via a schoolboy roll up, but she did the dastardly assault on poor Yuka after the match, locked her in the lockjaw, and they did the whole blood gimmick with Yuka, where they said that it was Britt who destroyed her mouth and took her out, and that was back last January, I want to say. So there was a story that you could have revisited in this tournament, and they didn't do it. So it's okay. And I would have had Britt win, and you would have had Shida, the babyface, defend against Britt, the dastardly heel from the American side. But apparently they wanted the Japanese side winner to win, and they went with Ryo Mizunami. And again, the match itself, the action was good, but I just never found it clicked into that, especially for like Joshi women when they're wrestling each other. I never found that it clicked to where it really needed to go and kind of get into it. It was like there was some nice, clean, perfectly suitable action, and everything looked good and all that. But I just found it didn't hit that gear that you would expect for a pay-per-view title match with both women of this caliber. You kind of understand what I'm saying? I
understand what you're saying. Yeah. I think the problem with this match, though, because the match was overall a good match. It was good.
I wouldn't say it was bad. It was definitely
a Dynamite main event worthy caliber match. But I don't know about a women's title pay-per-view match, though. I think the problem was the choice of the challenger and then the lead up. That's why I asked you who you think should be in the finals, because Nyla Rose and Ryo Mizunami. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Ryo Mizunami would have been eliminated first because her opponent at first was Maki Ito, and going into this tournament, everyone was going crazy for Maki Ito. And in the semifinals, it was her against Yuka, and we all know who the hell Yuka is, and she has so much charisma in the ring, it's crazy. And Ryo Mizunami just beating Yuka is I guess she has the experience, but character-wise and charisma, I don't really get Ryo Mizunami. I don't get her character. I just know that she's been in the game for longer than most of the women in that tournament.
Her whole character is being a veteran who nearly retired but didn't. That's her whole character.
That's what I got from the video package. I really didn't care about her as a face or a heel.
I think it was also you just knew that Shida wasn't going to lose to her too, so that didn't help.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
If you gave me Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, or Yuka Sakazaki, I could have said, oh, maybe they might drop the belt to them.
Now, if it were Nyla, I would 100% think not, and that it would just be another win. But Britt, definitely there would be a shot where I'm they could give the title to Britt after all the character development.
Sure. I wouldn't give it to Nyla, but I could see them dropping it to her again.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't want that either, but I see your point. At least if it was somebody on the American side who's been there and working television for every week and has been there for months.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's not going to be any travel bans on them. That there's a chance they could win.
Exactly.
Right? Yes, I agree.
So I feel like the reason why Yuka didn't win is because she may not feel comfortable with the whole traveling stuff with the pandemic. So that's my thought of why they didn't push her farther. So that's just my theory.
These women, they hit each other hard, they kicked each other hard, they did what they could to put on a good match or like something really good, but the predictability didn't help, and it's just I don't know, it's just it just seemed like there were better options to win the tournament. And I'm not shitting on Rio. You know, I'm not saying like she doesn't deserve like a chance to be given such a spotlight on television and pay-per-view like this, but I just think there were probably better options that could have came from the tournament winner, we should say. And like as far as like any key highlights is concerned, I'm really blanking on like key highlights. I remember they hit each other hard with shots. I mean, there were a lot of like I mean, there were a couple superplexes that were nice, and Shida showing her strength by getting Rio up for 2 Falcon arrows, because the one of them didn't look too good, so Shida just said, fuck it, I'm gonna hit one that looks better right afterwards, and then she did. So she felt like she had to redeem the move right after hitting it not so good by hitting it better on the next one. There was some stuff like that, but as far as like any big time highlights are concerned, I'm really spacing on it. Like at least with the Casino Tag Team Royale, I could remember like some highlights.
Yeah, highlights.
Some moments here and there. But for this match, I just remember they hit each other hard, they kicked each other hard. Shida, I mean, they no-sold a couple things, which, you know, that's a Japanese like specialty where you clonk somebody real hard with like an impactful move, and then they just shake their head and rub it off, and they end up hitting you harder in exchange.
Yeah,
it's
like
that
style
way. It's like the strong style exchange happened like once or twice, and then Shida, and I thought like that her hitting her finish at the end there was a little underwhelming, because I thought she'd hit it harder earlier and Mizunami kicked out, and then she hit it weaker at the end and ended up getting the pin. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's it. All right, sweet, yeah, good match. It's like if I had to give it, it's like a thumb in the middle, thumb up, thumb and 3/4. Can I say that? I give it a thumb and 3/4. Like that's.
I'll just put my thumb on the side.
Yeah,
I do remember a highlight, which was after the match ended, and we'll get to that as soon as
that's the thing you remember more is the post angle, which you might as well get to. So since we can't remember any actual highlights other than kicking and punching, which is, I mean, and suplexes, which is pretty much what the match was. After the match, Dr. Britt Baker and Rebel and the newly debuted Maki Ito end up jumping.
Let's go.
End up jumping Shida from behind. They beat up Mizunami as well when they're like kind of, you know, Shida showing respect to her challenger and all that. And then she gets jumped, and they beat them both down. And then who should make the save but Thunder Rosa, who's been feuding with Britt Baker for a few months now. And she saves both women. She fights off all the heels, and then they have this big stare down. And I think they said the 6-woman tag between these 6 happening tonight.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
That's at the time of recording. It's this Wednesday tonight.
So I think Thunder Rosa is being geared to be put back into the title picture. I think Britt Baker is as well. And as you said, your idea of a future triple threat seems to make the most sense going forward for the women's division for AEW.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because Thunder Rosa they're on the radar. Like, she is just climbing up the ranks in the women's division. And Britt Baker, they've been working on her for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, definitely a triple threat does not seem like a bad idea. I would like to watch that myself.
I think how it should go, if we're gonna do like the fantasy booking long-term thing, is where like I would say Britt ends up stealing the title. She finally is the one to end Shida's long title reign. Which, by the way,
she pins Thunder Rosa instead.
Yeah, or she does end up, or she steals Thunder's pin on Shida, and that continues the thing for them, and then you have Thunder Rosa eventually beat Britt Baker long term.
I like
become women's champion at some point. So that's kind of what I would do and what they probably should do going forward. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I would imagine that a triple threat might be. A lot of answers will be probably made tonight when we watch Dynamite and see what they do with that 6-woman tag team match. I'm sure a lot of future title implications, or at least some ideas of storylines, will be planted within that match tonight. So I guess we shall soon find out. But yeah, I would say that. What's that? Ask your question.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the highlight in this run-in is Ryo Mizunami. Not her, sorry. Hikaru Shida was gonna give a handshake to Ryo.
Yep.
But right before she shook hands, she did the traditional bow to show her respect. And that said a lot to me, because in the package, the video package, she was, you can never beat me, even in 100 years. And she ate her words, and she gave Shida the respect in defeating her. So that was that really spoke a lot, and that gave Ryo some points from me. But yeah, match was still a blur.
Yeah, it really was. Like, I mean, I didn't hate it. Like, I don't think it was
Oh
bad. Like
no, definitely
the
not.
action was good. Like nobody fucked anything up. It didn't look hideous. Nothing was bad. It was just fine. You know, it's just like it was on
Yeah,
the card.
that's
That's
fair.
it.
Yeah.
It was just there. So, but it was good. Like, I mean, as I said, thumb in the middle. It wasn't anything special, but it wasn't anything bad either. Afterward, we then go to what was probably definitely the weakest thing on the show, which is Miro and Kip Sabian have
Oh,
their.
you thought this was the weakest thing?
I think so.
Huh.
I think it was.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought something else was weaker than this.
Okay,
So.
well we'll go to it. We'll decide which one. I'm actually curious now that you say that. So I mean, but it was just basically like a prolonged squash, right? So backstage, best friends, that being Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, are about to give a backstage promo, and they get laid out by Kip Sabian and Miro. Kip lays out Orange Cassidy, and Miro just beats the absolute shit out of Charles.
Charles,
Just beats the shit out of him.
I give you a chance.
After he throws Chuck Taylor's head through basically like a window, he demands that they play his music, the best man's music.
Miro is such a badass after this match. I really thought that was cool. Play my music.
It was
oh
cool.
My God.
It was cool.
Was really
there
cool.
were some Rusev vibes there. All right, like, you know, it's like this guy is finally doing something that's like worth it. But I hope like this is it with the best friend shit. Like I hope he just do something else with him. To be honest, I still am not the fan of.
Did I talk to you about his? I'm sorry, but I was gonna ask you. Did I talk to you about the music of Miro? Like if you liked it or not? Because
I thought it was fine.
I think it's perfect.
I think it's great. I think his theme music's pretty good. I won't lie.
It's perfect for him in my opinion. It's much better than WWE, but it has like some reminiscence of his old WWE theme, and it's just much better.
Kip and Penelope come out onto the entrance ramp, and so does Miro, but he's got like Chuck Taylor dragging him, and he throws him out there, and they drag him to the ring, and yeah, the referee's like, oh, no, you fucking beat this guy up backstage. Let me see if he's fine. And then Chuck being the babyface who get beat up like that go, oh, I gotta compete in this fucking thing. Oh, I gotta compete. They never fucking say no. they never tell her, yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Babyface mentality.
I know. Yeah, they never say I'm done. They never quit. So the bell gets rung because Chuck demands that they have a match, and Miro and Kip Sabian basically just beat the fuck out of him and beat him down until eventually everybody's wondering where Orange is. Is Orange going to show up, even though he took less of a beating than Chuck backstage?
This was my main problem. Brayden. Why the fuck did they, like, half of the match there was no Orange Cassidy, from a body slam on some locker?
Yeah,
like,
from the most minimal like, Chuck got a horrible beating in comparison.
He bled as he entered the arena.
Like, why is Orange taking so long to recover? That's what I want to know. But yeah, so it should have been the other way around, really. They should have smashed Chuck through the window, leave him for dead, and drag Orange to the ring. But they didn't. Well, they went the other way around.
The story is, Chuck Taylor betrayed, Kip and Miro.
Yeah, but he betrayed them after they forced him to be their slave. So
yeah, so that was why they worked on him, I guess. And then, of course, Orange Cassidy is the, everyone's favorite, babyface. So he was supposed to be the hot hero.
Yeah, and he was, because eventually it comes to the point where Orange limps down from that horrible body slam on a production case. It left its mark.
Yeah, it made him look weak. Like, we've seen Orange Cassidy take a couple beatings, but, like, just a body slam for half of the match.
Like, the inner circle did way worse on him than what Kip did to him backstage here, for fuck's sake. Like, Jesus. So he limps out there, but he's able to muster enough power to hit the orange punch. It's a Superman punch. Lays out Kip.
I don't like that move.
You don't like that move,
eh? It's so weak. I already hate it on Roman Reigns.
Does he even use it anymore now that he turned heel? I don't remember. Does he still use that shit? I don't notice it much anymore. I don't notice it much.
He really relies on guillotine and just a spear.
At least, the guillotine's a legitimate MMA submission, and a spear, well, we know that Roman has one of the better looking spears in the business. I think he hits the spear perfect, to be honest. He makes that shit look devastating, I find. But anyway, Orange comes out, and as I said, he does the orange punch. Gabe's least favorite move of his kit.
He looks so weak when doing it.
So he hits Kip, and then I think he ends up getting on the apron. At the same time, Chuck ends up making some distance from Miro somehow, and he tags in, and Orange kind of runs wild a bit, and then I think Kip ends up getting tagged in so that Orange can do some of his flashy shit to him. Then Miro tags back in, and Orange tries to do the flashy shit to Miro, but Miro just no-sells it and stares at him and beats the hell out of him. He just beats him up for a while, and then eventually Chuck Taylor gets tagged back in, and this is for the final time because then Miro just beats the shit out of Chuck, locks him in the Accolade, and submits him. And I figure that with Miro debuting on pay-per-view, they were going to give him the win, and they gave him a very decisive win because he made Orange Cassidy look like a complete dork and didn't sell any of his shit and just beat the fuck out of him. Then when Orange got a tag in, he beat up his buddy that he had destroyed backstage and locked him in a submission and tapped him out. So, dominant win for Miro. I still don't know where this whole best man thing is going, how long he's going to just be Kip Sabian's best man. Aren't they married now? Are they married in storyline officially? It seems like
they're married.
So,
the whole reason why this match happened is because of the marriage, because on Dynamite, Charles backstabbed, Kip and Miro on the marriage, on the whole matrimony. So, that's why this match happened. So, Orange Cassidy came in and ruined it too, so... It's that's why this match happened. I think it was cool that they had Miro like drag Kip back in the ring just to tag in, because that just shows how dominant and how
what happened was Orange in his flurry was able to hit the beach break on Kip, and he pretty much had him beat. So Miro got in there and bullied Orange and beat him up, and then dragged Kip over and had Kip tag him in so he could finish the job.
That was cool. I'm not gonna lie. I like that a lot for Miro. So,
and then he just as I said, he beats up Orange. Chuck ends up tagging in when he probably shouldn't, and then he beats up Chuck and puts him in a submission and taps him out. So
that kind of won some babyface points for Kip to me. And people have been saying that Penelope is a natural babyface, and I can't wait to see what they do with those two.
Maybe Miro just turns on Kip, beats the fuck out of him, and puts him in the Accolade.
That's what it's gonna look like. I feel like so. This is what I'm getting from this story. So Miro, if you didn't see it, he pushed what's his name? I think Orange Cassidy to Penelope.
Yeah, and she took a bump and fell off the apron. Yeah.
So and Miro, like, what was the point for Miro to do that? Other than best friends and to his man Kip Sabian,
and he didn't show any concern that she fell.
He did not. So this just to me shows the push that we've all been wanting for Miro ever since he debuted.
I think he is going to destroy Kip and Penelope at some point, and
it's gonna be a turn. It's gonna be a babyface turn for Kip and Penelope.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
And then Miro is just a big evil villain that he just turned on the people that he was so supportive of, and that's how he goes forward, and that's how you break him up. That's what I would do. That's what they should do, but we'll see.
I don't like his finishing name though. The Accolade I've always been used to that. So, but it's now Game Over.
I know he does his Twitch thing, but we got to think of a better name for that submission.
It seems really geeky, for him.
He just like even though we know he does play games, does Miro come across as like a geek to you? No.
He doesn't seem like a gamer in my opinion.
No.
But everyone plays games these days, but having a finish called Game Over, I don't know.
I'm gonna keep calling it the Accolade myself.
It is the Accolade.
So that's how I knew of that submission under him, and that's what I'm going to continue to call it. Much better.
Well, wasn't they called the Cobra Clutch or something like that? Something something else. With Iron Sheik, right?
Yeah, it was the Cobra
Clutch. Camel Clutch.
The Camel Clutch. That's it.
Yeah. But when he does it, when Miro does it, or Rusev, it's always been the Accolade to me, and specifically for him. So it's I don't know why he has a Game Over now. So
I mean, it was an entertaining squash for what it was, but wasn't really much of a match. If we had to be honest here, it wasn't really much of a match.
I found it more entertaining than the Battle Royale, in my opinion.
Really?
So, yes, I really love. I have a lot of hopes for this what's going on forward from this match, because I'm really big on Miro. And ever since he debuted and just became this joke character, you gotta admit this, Braden. He is a joke character until this match happened. So
his first couple months were rough to say the least, right?
It was. So I can't wait to see where this goes for Miro, and even Kip Sabian and Penelope. I can't wait to see where this goes for them.
Perhaps we'll find out tonight. We shall.
I give it a thumb and a half in my opinion. I know you thought it was the weakest, but it's a thumb and a half.
But even then, I still give it like a thumb and a half, thumb and 3/4, thumb in the middle type thing, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's that. Then we go to the big money match. Hangman Adam Page versus Matt Hardy. Due to some wacky contract signing shenanigans, this match got led to.
This was the weakest.
You thought this was the weakest match of the show, did you?
I can give less of a shit, Braden, of who gets the fucking money. They make more money than us on a daily, weekly basis. So I don't really care who gets whoever's quarter pay. Like, does that really matter? Are we gonna get like a homeless gimmick from Matt Hardy or Hangman Page when they lose? I don't think so, because I just don't. I don't know. The match wasn't even that good in my opinion either. So this was weak for me.
I thought it was good. There wasn't anything super special where you say it's like match of the night, match of the year, but it fit in just fine on the card, and you know,
to me, it felt like a Dynamite opener.
I guess you can call it that, yeah. But I liked a lot of the action, and I thought the finish was great. I really enjoyed that finish of the Dark Order coming out, bouncing Hangman up, and him hitting the buckshot to get the pin. I thought it was a good.
That was a good finish.
Yeah,
that was a great finish.
I thought we
talked about that in text.
I thought the finish was great, and I mean the action was old school. It was a lot of Matt cheating in every way behind the referee's back to win, biting the hand, posting Page, all that stuff. They traded shots like some of the counters out of the Twist of Fate were good when Matt actually hit it to get the near fall. I thought was nice. There was some action that I really did enjoy in this match, and I still found it weird that Matt didn't go for a top rope side effect, and he just kind of ended up going for I think he went for a corner power bomb or something like that. I thought for sure he was going for the side effect off the top, but then he slunk down and put Hangman in the power bomb position.
Well, falsy that I did see was a side effect into Twist of Fate, which I thought was okay. Hangman could lose, but
I didn't think he was losing this match, but it was a nice near fall. It was a nice near fall.
It was a near fall. That was a good one.
So there was a couple things here. Yeah, I mean compared to some of the other matches, it wasn't quite up to the high as high octane. But I thought like Page hitting that Acai moonsault always looks nice, and Matt took it great on the outside. That had that spot. There was some stuff that I remember about it, and the story that was being told. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just liked it more than you did. It's just what it comes down to. And again, that finish really made it. Like the Dark Order comes out, they chase off Private Party and all the other people that Big Money Matt tried to hire to screw the Hangman, and then they just kind of all lump up. And as Matt knocks Page off what we thought was off the apron, they catch him. They propel him back up, and he jumps up and flips over the top rope and hits Matt with the buckshot lariat, which I think is the most dope finisher in wrestling today. It's
so simple, and it's just all he did was just a flip, and then
he flip and a big clothesline.
It's very unnecessary to do this fucking flip, but the flip makes it.
I don't know what it is about it. Why doesn't he just hit the clothesline? But yeah, the flip just adds to it. It's just the dopest. I mean, you can say what you want about the one-winged angel. It's very protective and all that, and looks good too, which we'll get to in the main event. But I think the buckshot lariat is really dope. But also, when Kenny Omega and Hangman Page were a team, the buckshot was it the buckshot V-trigger was what they used to finish matches, or was it the buckshot V-trigger? I know Hangman hit the lariat and Kenny would hit something. It was some sort of knee or something after that, and it always looked pretty good too. So. That was that, and Adam Page wins all of Matt Hardy's first quarter earnings as a part of the wacky contract shenanigans, and I guess it's just a stopgap pay-per-view for Page, but with the end of the main event, it seems like they might be going with somebody else for Kenny Omega. I thought they were going to be building up Hangman Page maybe to get the next title shot, but the end of the main event, excluding the dud pyro, I feel like another challenger is being position for Kenny Omega after Moxley because of Moxley. So I don't know what you do with Hangman Page now. Are they just going to save his big shot against Kenny for the summer and All Out rather than Double or Nothing? Is it just that he does two stopgap pay-per-view things? He beats Matt Hardy here, then maybe beats somebody of a little higher status at Double or Nothing? What really is the Hangman Page arc now that maybe he's not going into the title picture until maybe closer to the end of 2021? What do you think, Gabe?
to me, I think it's just obviously this Dark Order thing is not gonna end yet for him. I think they're just gonna do some cool gags, I guess, some funny stuff, and then here's what I'm hoping. I want to see him challenge Darby Allin, in my opinion. I think that would be interesting for the TNT title. I think that would be money.
That would be
that
money,
would be cool.
actually.
Yeah,
That would
I
be
don't
money.
think he's never won the mid card belt, so I want to see him hold it and see what he could do before he can win the big shot, you know. So I'm really hoping he could challenge Darby. If anyone, Darby Allin. Like, look, I don't think, I don't think Darby's gonna lose the belt to Scorpio Sky, right? So
Yeah, it's happening tonight. Watch him actually lose it.
I mean, like,
I don't think he
mind
will
Scorpio
either.
Sky
But...
winning the belt, but I would rather have, hopes for a Darby versus Adam Page match. So
Well, I
that's
guess
what I want to see.
Well, if Darby retains,
Yeah.
I say that's maybe a good direction for Double or Nothing. I didn't even think about putting him in the TNT title picture. Didn't even cross my mind. So that's actually
I've
really
been
good
wanting to see him. I've
suggestion.
been wanting to see him in the TNT title for a long time.
Yeah. I do think the end game with him by the end of the year is holding the world title strap, though. I don't know. I still have a feeling that that's long term who Kenny Omega may eventually lose this title reign to. I could be wrong.
I believe so too, because last year was Moxley's year. Obviously, this title
Kenny
shift
Omega's year. Yeah.
Kenny's year, and he's been wanting to work with other promotions, which we'll get to later.
Yep.
So it's definitely foreseen possibly that Page will win next year or near the end of the year. So this is definitely Kenny's time. This is his movement of the AEW like flag at the moment. So yeah, so I believe that he might be able to lose that belt to Page at the end of the year.
So yeah, the match is good. Gave Hangman a win on pay-per-view. I give it like a thumb up. I know I enjoyed it a lot more than Gabe did. He said this is the weakest thing for the show. So what, are you going to give it a thumb in the middle, or are you going to give it a full-on thumbs down? What's your rating there?
I'm not even going to give it a thumb. I'm going to give like a hand, like so, like, when you shimmy your hand, like side to like side.
Oh, but
in,
it's not enough
out.
to point it downward? It wasn't bad enough to point it downward?
It wasn't
okay.
bad, because like that finish was definitely like eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
It was just like I don't, yay, he gets more money. What's that going to change? What's that gonna change for Matt, or Adam Page? He won drinking beer just like usual. So, so handshake.
After that, we have the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So we had was it Scorpio Sky who entered first? He might have. And then Penta entered second. And Max Caster.
Why did he change his name again? Like,
yeah,
he's now like Penta El Cero Miedo, and I'm like, this is the same shit he did like when he was in the Indies. I'm like, why was he Pentagon Jr. or Penta, and he changed it to Penta El Cero Miedo Cero M whatever? So it's
I don't know.
He always changes his name.
Pentagon Jr. works better. Like, what's so bad about that name?
That's the name that sticks. At first, I thought it was like a copyright thing, like, oh, maybe Lucha Underground owns it. But no, he's been called Pentagon Jr. multiple times on TV, so internationally too. So I don't know why he has all these extravagant long ass names for no reason, because it's just a blur, like a
Actually, Max Caster, I think, came out first, and he does his rap shtick.
To say so.
The current doctor of thugonomics, I suppose.
I'm a big fan of the Acclaimed. I don't know why he was in a singles match, or not singles match, but he was in a tag match.
He was just randomly chosen to be in this, despite being a tag team guy. Like, what?
I would see, like, I have other people in mind for his spot in that tag battle royale. Where he could have just been in the tag battle royale, and maybe put Jungle Boy in there or something.
Yeah, but they didn't. Anyway, and then Lance Archer comes out, beats up a dude behind the barrier like he always does.
As usual.
Scorpio Sky and Penta enter next. And then I want to hear you talk about this. Then we get the over budget fucking look at this guy who's more important than the rest of the roster entrance that
Cody, bro.
That Gabe cannot stand Cody's big over budget entrance. Would you like to explain your issues with the Hunter-esque entrance that Cody gets every pay-per-view
There's
on
nothing
television?
to explain. It's simple if you watch the damn product. every time, not even a match. Every time Cody just enters for no reason, even if he showed up already earlier in the program, he's still gonna get his like 3 minute entrance. I'm like, so what does that make of these other guys, you know? And you can't even get the world title, you know, since you lost that opportunity early on in the company. Why does he get all the fireworks? He's the only one that enters through the middle of the tunnels. I'm like, we get it. You're the grandson of a plumber. Just keep being you. But we have too much of you already, Cody. In my opinion,
I'm gonna complain about Cody a little bit here too, and about midway through, because I just didn't like the camera work at a certain part when you knew. I'll get to it in a bit. So they have probably one of the safest ladder matches I've ever seen, which isn't bad because you don't want anybody to die. Yeah. But compared to the standard of stuff, I thought the risks were relatively low. Everybody tried not to get hurt, which, again, I'm not saying you got to fucking kill yourself to do stuff, but, like, it just for a ladder match, it never got that exciting gear going that they usually do. Like, there were a couple of key highlights. Like, I remember, which I might as well get out of the way now. So Penta ends up hitting probably the best spot of the match on Cody.
Wait, hold on. I like how you start going through the match without saying the surprise entrant.
Oh, yes. I forgot about Ethan Page. Yes, so they built up the surprise entrant. We got into Cody's entrance, and I just got right into the guys fighting. So, yeah, so Ethan Page is in fact a new signing for AEW, and since I think he's being portrayed as a heel, his tagline's all ego, so I assume that he's being a heel in AEW. I'm pretty sure he was a heel in Impact, was he not? Like,
he was a heel. He was mainly a tag team player, which I thought was weird because I always thought of Ethan Page as a singles guy. So it was interesting that he was in the tag team like picture in Impact.
Seems like he'll be a singles guy in AEW.
Yeah, because I knew him from the Indies, specifically Evolve and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. He was just always in your face, generic, like, you know, bully, and I liked it. It's just simple. And him being in a tag team, I mean, a lot of people liked it. I just thought it was weird. But yeah, it looks like he's single, and he's a heel. So we'll see where this goes. People really thought he was gonna win.
Yeah,
but apparently not.
I went with the mystery participant too, and when I seen it was him, I'm like, oh, I think he's being positioned as a heel. He's the new signing. He might pull a Brian Cage here. So I was thinking he might win, and well, he really didn't end up winning. But anyway,
he could not get the Sonic ring.
Yeah, he couldn't get the brass ring or the Sonic ring, which it really did look like the live action rings that were in that Sonic movie from last year. Pretty much looked identical to it. So there was some stuff in this match, like very early on, Cody's doing all his stuff, and then him and Penta are on this ladder bridge, and Penta ends up climbing on a ladder that's like built by the ladder bridge, and he hits Cody with this this destroyer.
It was a Canadian destroyer.
Yeah, it was the destroyer on the ladder, and Cody sells it like as if he's just really hurt his shoulder, and his shoulder was actually taped up going into the match too, so he's selling it big time and all that, and they take forever to finally bring him to the corner there. He's being checked on forever outside, and then they continue to when they kind of walk into the tunnel, they shoot it in a way where you can see the tunnel the whole time and the people talking with Cody, and I was just looking at that fucking thing the whole time. It just kept getting my goddamn attention. It's like they wanted me to look at it. It's like, but if you're going to do that, I know he's just going to end up just walking back out and wrestling again. Wouldn't it have been better not to shoot that, make sure that just focus on the action in the ring, not have that be in the background constantly, and just have Cody like limp back on out after and you shoot to him when he's coming out of the tunnel again? I thought it was just so unnecessary to film the rest of the match and the guys participating with the medical personnel and the Nightmare family discussing with Cody the future of his career in the corner from a distance the whole time. Did you notice that? That's how they shot it?
Well, you talked about how this was the safest ladder match, right? And
yes.
So as they were going, you know, doing their thing, I thought to myself, damn, I should make some fucking popcorn. So I looked in my pantry and I see if I have no fucking popcorn. Thankfully, I was at my grandmother's house, so there's like a 7-Eleven right across the street. So I just walked across the street in the middle of the night, got myself some like dollar popcorn, cooked it. As soon as I, you know, cooked it, you know, I guess Scorpio Sky, he won. Oh, cool. So by the time my popcorn was done, Scorpio Sky won, so I really didn't care about
Oh,
this match.
so you didn't see nothing of it. Okay, well,
Yeah,
I will give.
yeah.
Anyway, they shot it in a way where you could see the tunnel that Cody walked up, and you could see Cody talking with all these people in the background in a way where it's shot so you could see it just in the corner of the ring, and they shot it so you could see all the people talking to him. But at the same time, you still see the full scope of the ring, so you see all this action going on. But then in the corner, you keep seeing Cody talking with all these people. But anyway, besides that, the action was actually pretty good in some spots. Scorpio Sky
Wait,
doing his
so you're
best.
saying that they kept focusing on Cody and not the other like 5 competitors?
Well, it's like they were kind of, but Cody was given just as much doing nothing as they were, I would say.
Oh, I see where you're coming from now. Yeah,
Yeah,
that kind of it's kind of pissy of them to do.
like he was just you could just notice it. Like they had the camera zoomed out in such a way. Like think of the final shot, right, where they show that lame pyro at the end of the paper, which we'll go on. You know
Oh
how you
yeah,
could clearly see both tunnels and the entrance ramp and all that.
yeah,
Think about
yeah.
that, except the guys are working in the ring, so you see that, but then in the corner, you see Cody and the Nightmare Family and the medical personnel all talking in the
Okay.
corner, and they're they're shooting it in a way where you see it constantly in the background.
I get it now. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's kind of lame in my
They did
opinion.
that pretty
But
much for the majority of the match until Cody came back. There were a couple moments where they zoomed in, like say when Lance Archer delivered like that the Razor's Edge type thing, or he power bombed. It was Ethan Page. Oh no, yeah. No, Lance Archer was caught in the ladder, and Ethan Page got power bombed onto him by, I think it was who did the power bomb? I need to. So there's Max
I think
Caster.
it was Ethan Page, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
no.
I do remember
Ethan
watching.
Page powerbomb Max Caster onto Lance
Mhm.
Archer, who was sandwiched between a ladder. So that went on while Cody was out, and that was very much filmed within the ring, and you couldn't see either of the two tunnels. But then it would zoom out from afar, and then you see Cody and everybody talking and all that. Scorpio Sky did his best Shelton Benjamin performance, doing the high leaps of the ladder to cut people off, and jumping off a ladder from slightly high heights where you think he's going to blow out his knees, and he never does. Lance Archer went crazy, and he did a lot of really cool power stuff. There was a moment where he actually delivered his, I think he delivered his finish, which is like that big flipping crucifix bomb onto Ethan Page onto a ladder. So Page took one of the more sicker bumps of the entire match.
He did that crucifix driver, but it's like you have ladders across. Like if I was in that ring, I would land my opponents on the ladder. But hey, I mean, I guess you want to be safe, you know. So I don't know.
He did do it on. He did actually connect with the ladder though. He
Oh
did.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember a move that he did that there was
Everything
a ladder.
else he did had nothing to do with the ladder. He'd be slamming guys and tossing them, but there would be no real ladder spots. Nobody really
Okay.
went through like the biggest spot of this match. The most like crazy one was Penta's flip pile driver to Cody on the ladder.
Canadian. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That was pretty much it. And I mean, there was a lot of people cutting each other off and this and then a lot of ladder battles where they do the the traditional Money in the Bank thing where guys reach and punch and then they end up just kind of getting knocked off and falling off, which Lance Archer did kind of pretty good. He just kind of destroyed all these guys before he ends up getting cut off by Cody, who eventually runs back, and then after that everybody just beats the shit out of Cody's shoulder. So it was already taped up before Penta destroyed him, and then everybody just starts like throwing him into the ring post via his shoulder, throwing him into the ladder through his shoulder, and then he's selling his shoulder forever, and he just keeps getting destroyed by it. And Scorpio Sky ends up being the lone man on the ladder, and he pulls down the Sonic Ring, and he ends up winning, which I was surprised by. I thought if anybody that was booked for this match was going to win, it might have been Lance Archer. If not the mystery. Like, if it was going to be somebody who was booked from the beginning who we knew about, again, Ethan Page was a surprise mystery participant, I thought Lance Archer would have been the most likely of the current guys listed. But now Scorpio Sky ended up winning, and he's got a TNT title shot tonight against Darby Allin. And, I mean, it was a very good ladder match, but it was far from a great one. Like, it was good to the point where, like, I was never super bored. Like it had good action. It was pretty safe, but it never hit that exciting element that great to fantastic ladder matches have. It was just it was a good by the numbers ladder match. Some guys had their showcasing spots, but it never accelerated into anything great. Like it's just a solid one thumb up at most. Just a very good bout, but nothing great or special, I would say.
I'd like to agree with you if I would have watched
If you would have watched it, right? So
because I watched the first like couple minutes and the last couple minutes because I was able to watch a couple of the Lance Archer like dominations like he did at the end before Scorpio
which actually
Sky
was a
grabbed the
highlight.
ring.
Him beating the shit out of everybody and tossing them this, that, and the other.
He was the main threat in this match, so it's just that I don't know. I just wasn't too thrilled when I was first watching it. I'm like, I'm gonna get some popcorn. I want some damn popcorn, so I'm gonna get some popcorn. And I thought if it wasn't Ethan Page, I think Lance Archer would have been a valuable threat to Darby Allin.
Yeah.
So, but in my opinion, I don't think it's time for Scorpio Sky. Granted, I think he's more than capable, more than potential to challenge Darby Allin, but I don't think it's time yet because we haven't been really invested in him. All we know so far is that he pinned Jericho in one of the first Dynamites, and he also left SCU. So it's just that he has so much potential, and he has charisma. I am a fan of him. It's just that he hasn't had the time or the or effort put into his character yet on Dynamite because we've been focusing on the Darby Allins, the Adam Pages, the Murder Hawk Monster himself too. So we've been investing in those characters, but not enough in Scorpio Sky to care about. I think he's gonna beat Darby this Wednesday. In reality, we all know he's not. So we'll see.
Well, maybe this is the beginning of him doing more stuff as a singles guy, and he starts.
Definitely. That's definitely a possibility as well.
Now, this is just maybe what gets the ball rolling with using him more and developing him more as a talent, as a single star, and all that sort of stuff. So maybe, even though he doesn't win the TNT title, it's a shot that kind of pushes him further in his ascension as a singles superstar.
I can agree with that.
After that, we've got what ended up being a cinematic street fight. Darby Allin and Sting against Team Taz's Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. So it's a cinematic match because Sting had to have his boneyard.
That's what I thought too. So I'm like, Undertaker's gonna retire with the boneyard, and Sting is gonna return with the boneyard. That's how I saw it.
So it ends up shooting. We see Team Taz roll up in like this fancy ass car to this what seems like a warehouse or like this dilapidated building, and Darby's theme hits, and we see him skateboarding to this location as well.
What a badass entrance for both of them.
I know.
Like, Sting and Darby Allin just entering.
And what I really enjoyed was that Darby had half his face paint and half Sting's, but also Sting, when he made his entrance, walking in from the shadows with a bunch of Sting clones, they also had half Sting, half Darby Allin. So Sting was also accompanying Darby Allin's face paint style as well, along with all of his like Sting druids. What do I want to Sting doubles? And what do
I just call
Sting
them
Army? The Sting Army.
The Stingers.
So they all end up coming up, and Darby meets up with them. And they walk in, and my favorite call was because Cage and Starks end up getting to the ring first after they pull up in their fancy ass Lamborghini or whatever the fuck they drive to the dilapidated building, and they're waiting in this warehouse with this ring. And as Sting and Darby meet up with this crew of Stings, Taz on commentary goes, "Oh, that's real fair, 20 against 2." I howled. I howled at that line. Taz has been so great as like the mouthpiece for this group of powerhouse wrestlers. Like,
I mean, he did win like Wrestling Observer like non-wrestler.
He did. He won best non-wrestler by a landslide, dude. Like he had like 1,000 votes or more, 2,000 votes or more over like Paul Heyman, who was the runner-up or whatever. He dominated that poll.
And he keeps bringing that up, which is pretty funny too.
AEW won everything in those awards, by the way. So
I don't see why they wouldn't.
I don't see why they wouldn't either, but they did.
They really took advantage of this pandemic in the best way possible.
Yep, and they deserved every single award as far as I was concerned for 2020.
Because I'm not gonna lie, when we first started this pandemic stuff, we were concerned like how AEW was gonna go on. Like we thought they were gonna just show tape before. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh man, so I really like what they did with this year 2020. So
So this thing begins, and it ends up starting with Darby fighting Brian Cage, and Sting and Ricky Starks continuing their thing, and they're fighting. And there comes a point where they get completely separated, and Brian ends up like smashing Darby through like some glass and just really beating him down, and he kicked him down some stairs. Like he beat the hell out of this guy. Sting and Ricky Starks kind of fight in the ring for a while and kind of do their shit in the ring, and then they end up coming out and fighting around in the warehouse and all that sort of stuff. There comes a point where I think Brian Cage ends up meeting up with Ricky, and they start double teaming Sting when they think Darby Allin's been completely incapacitated. There was also a point where the rest of Team Taz got into the play too. Like Taz's son ended up running interference, and he attacked Sting, I'm pretty sure, because Sting put him in a body bag in the weeks prior to this pay-per-view. And also Powerhouse Hobbs ended up coming out, and he because there were times where Darby and Sting did end up reuniting as a team and fighting, and then it's like when that happened, Taz's team got kind of an advantage with the interference from Hobbs, and what are they calling Taz's son? I know he's got
I forgot his name too.
He's got a name. What is his name? I
Google machine.
Yeah, I have to Google.
Let's do it. Taz son.
Hook. That's what they call him. They call him Hook. That's right.
Dumb name. Not gonna lie. Yeah, that's my son Hook.
Yeah. Nice Taz inflection there, by the way. I like the way you elevated the words and all that. So. There was a lot of like stuntman type stuff going on. Like Darby took a lot of punishment. Like he took a lot of like. Now, granted, who knows? Like I'm sure he did all of his own stunts too. So some of that stuff must not have felt well. But there was also moments where it just went back to the ring, and Sting's doing all of his usual shit between the ropes. And I remember when Sting gets the bat to equalize him getting double teamed. Brian Cage, I think, is just like, yeah, you need that fucking bat. You're not like what? You're not gonna fight normally, and then Sting just says, "Fuck it, I don't need it," and he tosses it, and just ends up shooting some shots at Brian Cage and fighting him for a while. I thought like the film and cinematography looked great. I thought like it was very Lucha Undergroundy, in terms of like the presentation.
Yeah, I understood that. It's just it wasn't a Lucha Underground match.
Yeah,
it was a street fight, but in the end, it was a cinematic match. In the end, Now, granted, Lucha Underground, it's those are wrestling matches, just filmed in a very different way. But we understand it's not a cinematic match, but we know that this Sting tag team return match, whatever, was cinematic for sure.
Oh yeah, it was. It was like 100% put together, and so there came a point where you remember when Darby Allin jumped off that really high area on the cage?
Yeah, I did not know why he did that, but hey, he's the ballsiest man in AEW. That's all I know.
He did it and took Cage out, and then it ends up just being Sting and Starks at the end, and they decide to battle all the way back to the ring. I guess they remember
the ring. That's the weirdest place.
I guess they remember that's where it started. So it's a match. If it starts there, it's got to end there, right? So good for them.
It's a street fight.
Yeah, but they didn't say it was false count anywhere.
Oh, that's bullshit. Whatever. That's so dumb. Whatever.
Okay, but nobody went for a pin on the ground, right?
No, yeah, definitely not. But I'm just saying. Why would you have them?
No, I'm trying to remember. I don't think they did, because if they did try to pin somebody on the ground,
you're right. Yeah. No, there was no pin on the ground. It's just all that trouble just to end up back in the ring. I don't know.
But anyway, Sting knew it started there and had to end there, so he drags Starks back in there, and they fight for a while, and then Sting ends up just kind of lighting up Ricky with all of his usual offense, and he ends up overpowering Starks and hits the Scorpion Death Drop to get the pin and the win. As far as cinematic matches go, I think this is the best one since the Boneyard, for like that movie style fight scene type thing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not really a match as far as I'm concerned. Like, I give it a thumb up for being a really good cinematic or being a great cinematic, but like that's about as far as I can take it because you can't grade these things like a traditional match inside the ropes like the rest of this pay-per-view was. You just can't do it. Not in my opinion. What do you think about grading it that way? Like I would give it like a solid one thumb up for the movie visuals.
Yeah,
thumb up, thumb and a
like
quarter.
that.
But
For
like,
me,
but it being a 2 thumbs up cinematic match means like it was done like a movie. It's not done like in a traditional pay per view style.
So here's my main gripes with it. Like here's the smallest one right now, which is what we just talked about, how it ended in the ring. Like
that was the least of my
that was
issues
least
with
because
it.
if you looked at the Boneyard match, right? It's that they never said it's false count anywhere because we know it's still like a street fight gimmick movie cinematic match. They pinned wherever the fuck they wanted to. So
actually, it ended up being buried alive was the finish for the Boneyard.
Oh, that's right.
So he didn't pin AJ. He put him in a hole that he dug and buried him.
Well, at least there was a target. Like, okay, we have to put them in the grave.
Yeah, that was the way to win, was to bury your
fight. We just didn't know. Are they gonna end it there, but they ended it back in the ring? Like, okay, but that's my least gripe. My main gripe was commentary. I think it took away from it a lot because most of these cinematic matches
do not have commentary.
Don't have or don't need it. The only one I remember with commentary was the Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara match, and I thought it was very lame to have.
Did the Stadium Stampede have commentary?
I believe it did, but that
was less of a cinematic.
Really cinematic.
Yeah,
it wasn't really cinematic. The only cinematic part was, I guess, going in that pool, with Matt Hardy.
But the rest of it was like not so much. It
wasn't.
Like it was clearly pre-edited and put together, but there was like a lot more athleticism with it. It was shot more like a match. Yeah. I don't know. Like I don't think you can compare the Stadium Stampede like you would the Boneyard and the other ones like this. It just doesn't seem fair to do it, Like, I count that more as an actual match than these, to be honest.
Yeah, no, Stadium Stampede is definitely more of a match. The Boneyard match is more cinematic, and then you look at the Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara, that definitely was a cinematic match, but the commentary just did not.
I also happen to think that was one of the weakest things from that Full Gear show, too.
Oh, definitely.
Was that Hardy compound shit, so...
But even with the commentary, like it did take it away, yes, but it still held up as a good cinematic match, mainly because I want to say Darby Allin and Sting. That entrance was just badass.
The entrance was awesome. Their matching gear was super sick. Sting looked great, I thought, in the stuff that he did, because there's some real bumps that he took, like doing the Stinger splashes and the work in the way he did and the match spots for this thing. I thought he looked really good. Obviously, these cinematic presentations and the heavy editing can hide some flaws, but I thought he looked very good. Darby's fucking stunts looked awesome. I thought altogether, I thought this was better than that Hardy shit from the last.
Oh, definitely.
As far as
my main problem with the commentary is it's just weird that we have Taz here in the table. We all know this is pre-taped, pre-edited. You can't hide that this was cinematic, pre-taped. So with Taz acting like he hasn't seen this before is just kind of weird. They're acting like it's real time and all that.
Everybody's I mean, I kind of tuned out the commentary. Only I tuned in for a couple times when Taz said, 20 on 2, that's real fair. I found that was a highlight, but I kind of tuned the rest of it out. But I can understand it being there probably annoyed many people. That was a sentiment that a lot of people shared coming off this pay-per-view.
But it shows how good this match was too, because like you said, you were able to tune out some of the stuff, and that's how great it was. I was able to tune out most of that commentary as well, because you were invested in this match, So yeah, definitely thumb and a quarter.
Yeah, thumb and a quarter for being a cinematic. Yeah. Actually, being a cinematic, it would be 2 thumbs up. But as far as being a cinematic on a pay-per-view full of regular matches, you give it a thumb up, thumb and a quarter type deal. That's how I do it. That's how you got to be fair, So. That's that.
I still think The Fiend and Cena is my favorite cinematic, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, I still like that. Or the Boneyard.
The Boneyard is probably still my favorite, but this one would be my second favorite. I like this one more than the Firefly Funhouse. I like this one a lot more than the Firefly Funhouse.
With Firefly Funhouse match, people were saying, "Oh, what does this mean?" There's so much hidden meaning to it. So, it got me speculating. I know some people don't like that stuff. That's why people prefer the Boneyard over that, which I respect and understand. So I just thought it was clever on how the match was for the Firefly Funhouse.
So now we go on to the main event, and at this point, this is where I began to go. This match is gonna really make or break this fucking pay-per-view.
This was match of the night, Braden.
So yes, I'm going to bring that up. So I'm like, this match has got to deliver, or else this pay-per-view will probably be seen as the worst AEW pay-per-view yet. Now,
definitely, because they had 2 matches before the pay-per-view. It was this and Sting return.
Yeah, so I was like, if this match doesn't deliver in the way that it should, everybody's going to be shitting on this show. Nobody is going to be remembering it. Everybody's going to be calling it the worst AEW pay-per-view ever. I can just see it. Now, again, granted, saying it's the worst doesn't mean we're saying it was an alright shit show, right? We're just saying for AEW's in-ring standard, this would have been one of the weaker, and it still was, even with this main event.
Oh, shit. Before we get to that, Braden, shouldn't we talk about the mystery?
Oh my gosh, yes, because I could go on about that for like an hour or 40 minutes. I won't, but we will talk about it. Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh, I was going to jump right to the main event before talking about the mystery signing. It was. I completely forgot. And Sting was involved, and he was a former colleague of the major signing back in another, well, it's called Impact now, but back when they were working together, it was called TNA. So yes, AEW had a mystery signing that Paul White teased on the Go Home show and said it was this big Hall of Fame-esque signing. I don't know if I would have used those terms. I would have just said, like, this is a big star. He's coming in. He's a mystery signing. Tune in. I don't know if I would have used... I mean, Christian has had a Hall of Fame career in aspects, like...
In my opinion, he has a Hall of Fame worthy career in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe not for like main event wise, but tag team wise, definitely. As far as what he did in the mid card is definitely Hall of Fame worthy. I don't know if he's ever had a really big main event run in WWE that I would say he's had glimmers of it.
Not really.
But not really anything here. Whereas in TNA, he was a full-on main eventer in TNA his whole time there.
Before we talk about more in depth of Christian, like, who were your thoughts on who it could have been and why? I'm pretty sure you talked about it in the prediction.
I did talk about it. I said I could see it being Kurt Angle, or I thought it was going to be Christian. Those are my 2 options.
Those are your 2. All right, cool.
Yes, so I did in fact predict Christian would be one of them. So. They announced the following the major signing of AEW is about to make their entrance, and then the countdown happens, and I remember it's like that instrumental version of an Evanescence song that TNA did for Christian Cage back when because that's his name he uses outside of WWE is Christian Cage. He used it at the beginning of his career, and he used it when he worked in TNA. So I knew that countdown and the I was like, okay.
Because I have been watching some. I'm not gonna lie, I watched TNA because of Christian. Because as soon as I heard him in WWE, I was a big fan of him. But to see him as a singles competitor, like full on, like the top dog of the company,
multiple time world champion in TNA.
Yeah, that's when I was like, damn, he's really setting TNA on the map. If it wasn't for Christian's contribution, then there wouldn't be the TNA that we remember. And then that's why Kurt Angle joined. That's why all these other like former WWE people who did contribute to TNA as a product joined.
I think Christian was was actually more impactful because he came over as a mid-carder that became a main eventer because of his transition. Kurt was like a main event dude who became another main event dude. You know, Christian going to TNA made him a main eventer. That made him a top guy.
And it didn't just make him a top guy. He made TNA one of the top companies in wrestling because of it.
They were able to sign him after he left WWE, and it was a big deal. And now, after he just looked fantastic in the Royal Rumble not too long ago, like we're talking like a little over a month and a half ago, now he has signed with All Elite. And so when I heard his TNA theme going and the countdown and then and it was
I was surprised they brought the TNA theme because
I was so glad about it though. Like I'm like
me too. That's Dale Oliver's like theme that he made for Christian. I'm like that's crazy that they let him use it.
It's the theme of the Instant Classic. It's the theme of the Instant Classic, which is again he didn't go by Captain Charisma in TNA. He was known as the Instant Classic. Christian Cage in TNA, which is what they are. I thought that
him better. That was cool. That's a cool nickname.
The Instant Classic? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that name a lot.
He was putting on fantastic matches in TNA, and he's going by it again, and he's got this new shirt. So he comes out, and he's wearing the Outwork Anyone shirt. You know what? Even at his age, I believe he can outwork a couple of those guys on that roster. He's a guy who, in ring, actually fits in AEW quite well, because Christian is one of my most favorite wrestlers to watch in the ropes. I love him as a promo guy too. I think he also cuts some of the best promos in the industry. He's one of my favorite promo guys of all time. But as an in-ring worker, he's one of my all-time favorites to watch between the ropes, dude. And I'm going to be totally saying something controversial here, I think Christian is more talented than Edge in some areas of pro wrestling that he's just naturally better at.
I can agree.
I think he's
I can agree.
a better in-ring wrestler than Edge is, and I do like his promo style better. So I have always been a person who preferred Christian over Edge and was always salty that Edge got pushed more because he had a better look, and that Christian got shit.
I mean, it's that Mario Luigi like effect.
Yeah,
like,
Christian was the Luigi. He was the Luigi.
Christian was the Luigi that we
and
all
it always
rooted for,
pissed me off. And I always knew that he was going to be slotted in WWE to a certain level, and I knew he just wouldn't ever break through. Like, I mean, when they gave him the world title because Edge retired, they immediately had him drop it to fucking Randy Orton like 2 days after he won it, and I was pissed.
Well, granted, not gonna lie, Christian did kind of have trouble fighting himself after he split from Edge, because Edge, I think he was on SmackDown when they split, and Christian was on Raw. So Christian, he had this weird like acting mask thing on his entrance. The Christian.
Yeah, well, that's when he turned on Edge and they broke them up.
Yeah, so and then he finally came to Captain Charisma.
That's when they should have pushed him, and they didn't.
Yeah,
they let it fizzle out, and he left to go to TNA.
The most he's gone was challenging Cena and I think Chris Jericho for the world title, the WWE title, and that's like the most he's ever done, main event wise, until he came back, after TNA. So
and then they slotted him in ECW for like 2 years.
Which was lame.
It's Christian.
I don't know.
It's Christian.
So here's the problem with most of the people with this return or this debut in AEW. That's what everyone felt with Christian signing, because, like I said earlier, Maki Ito was the biggest surprise or the best surprise in this pay-per-view.
Because nobody predicted it. That's why it was.
No one predicted
surprise.
it.
Yeah.
So with AEW hyping up, this is a main event. No, it is a Hall of Fame worthy choice, and it's not who you think it is.
Well, it was who I thought it was. So
yeah, me too. So people were like, it's gotta be Punk, maybe Cena or Angle or Brock Lesnar, and it came to be Christian. People are obviously disappointed.
I still think Christian fits AEW better than all the rest of those guys. So.
We're on the same coin, but on the other side, everyone's pretty like sour, not even sour, just like about it. Like, just like that the ECW debut, it's Christian. That's how people are feeling, like, as a joke in actuality, which I don't know how that's gonna be for Christian in AEW, but I'm pretty sure
he's gonna be pushed hard. He's gonna be pushed hard in AEW. You know it. You know they're gonna put him in top level matches. I don't know what his first program's gonna be. Maybe with Chris Jericho.
That's what I was gonna talk to you about. Yeah.
Maybe with Chris Jericho.
Because where's Chris Jericho gonna go? After this inner circle like council to talk or whatever. Like,
I've heard some people say they might pair him with Cody. Pair him against Cody right away for
that sounds interesting.
For a safe first option.
That sounds interesting.
Do you think eventually he might get a shot at Omega while Omega's the world champion, and we get the Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega? Elite Canadian worker versus another elite Canadian. I mean, Jericho's Canadian too, but like Omega versus Cage for the title at some point. I want to see that. That's the one that I want. That's a match I want to see probably the most is Omega. And
I think I could see that on a pay-per-view, but we all know that Kenny's gonna win it. But it would just be a great match to see either way.
Yeah, like even though it's predictable, I just want to see it for how they would work with each other because
it'll add to Kenny's like reputation. Like, oh man, he beat one of the best like Hall of Fame future picks like in wrestling industry. Like, it's Christian.
He could also say these ex-WWE guys come here to lose to me because I already beat Moxley twice
there you
too.
go.
So
yeah,
you got something there.
He's like one of the most anti-WWE like characters in the business.
If not the most. Well, the Bucks are up there too, but like he's up there.
Of course.
So I'm curious of who they're gonna. Again, I think Jericho might be a safe bet for his first program. They might, again, some people have mentioned Cody, but then the match I really want to see Christian Cage have is one with Kenny Omega. That's the match that I get excited about thinking the most. There's so many guys on that roster that he could have a great run with. So I look
Yeah,
forward
no,
to
I,
this.
I couldn't think of anyone until you said Omega, so I think Omega would be a great choice.
Well,
If I think of another one, I'll let you know. But yeah,
Omega is like
Omega
the
is
number
definitely.
one choice. That's the one guy I really want to see Christian Cage work in AEW for sure. So yeah, like I reacted with a big old smile on my face. I was happy to see Christian in All Elite. I guess him and WWE just couldn't come to terms with something, and he just walked.
I
And he
mean,
went to the competition.
if we were Vince, where would we put Christian in the scene? You know,
But you know
because
they
there's
were gonna
already
want to
Edge.
re-sign him. You know they offered him something.
Well, there's already Edge. That's the thing. So like, where would we? I mean, if Edge is like the main picture of WrestleMania right now, the main
Mm-hmm.
event, we would if I were to sign Christian WWE, obviously if we were Vince, Vince would be like just putting him in oh, he's gonna be like the cheerleader for Edge, you know, just like what they used him for last year when Randy Orton just mauled him, you know.
Yeah.
So
Christian went to where he feels he's going to be better used, and I would say he definitely going to be better used in All Elite Wrestling than he would in WWE.
no,
So
most definitely,
great choice on
yeah.
Christian's part. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's just been cleared by doctors from post-concussion syndrome. That's what's kept him
Oh,
out
he's been
for.
cleared.
Yeah.
He tested, I think, months before the Rumble. Oh, okay, so from Renee Paquette's podcast with Christian,
Mm-hmm.
right after his signing, apparently he said that after his match with Orton, because remember he had like an all black gear and he
Yeah.
didn't really take a lot of
He did
bumps.
nothing. He got a fake
Yeah,
kick and got pinned. Like he did
yeah.
nothing.
So he he felt determined, like he wanted to get back in this ring, and he didn't want to end it on that note. Cause before that, I mean, I think what was his last match?
It
It
was
wasn't
it was the Elimination Chamber of 2014. So remember
okay.
Daniel Bryan's rise to the title?
Yeah, that
Well,
was okay.
Christian was in that chamber match, and that pretty much ended up being like his last WWE match for a while.
Well, at least that was a match, and it's a high
Yeah.
caliber match. The Elimination Chamber, you know. Now he fought Orton. He didn't like the idea, like, oh, I ended it on a really lame squash match. So he talked to doctors, the same one that Daniel Bryan talked to actually for concussions,
Yeah.
and they said that Christian had no problem whatsoever with the test, and they cleared him, and that's why
Well, and
Vince let him wrestle in the Rumble,
and
and then
now
now
that's
he's
why
here.
he's in AEW. So he's good to go, and that means he's had 7 years of not taking any fucking bumps on a weekly basis. That's what he said. That's was one key highlight he said in the interview. He was like, "Yeah, I'm maybe 7 years older, but I don't have 7 years of wear and tear." So he looked
That's
like
true.
he looked like he didn't miss a beat in the Rumble. When you're as great as Christian is in the ring, like I just don't think you have ring rust. You can just get right back in there and just do it because you're that good. And I think he's one of those elite level workers. He's like a Daniel Bryan or a Shawn Michaels or a caliber wrestler or a Bret Hart, like caliber wrestler like that, where you could go for so long, but when you come back, it's just like you could just do it again. He's just that level of a talent, and that's a big get for AEW. I think that's a great signing for them. He's more than capable inside the ring. He's a great promo guy. He's a guy who's going to add more diversity behind the mic and inside the ring, and that's what they need, and that's what they have been signing, and that gets 2 thumbs up for me. That's a 2 thumbs up signing for the future of where Christian Cage can go in AEW. I'm looking forward to every bit of this upcoming run. I'm actually tuning in tonight to see what he does first, because he's cutting a promo tonight. Something's going to be going down. Tonight they will determine his first angle for sure, I believe. We'll kind of
I
have an
just
idea of what's going on with him tonight.
see what everyone said that he should just turn, showed up. So I feel like having the mystery opponent for that ladder match would have been an okay, like, foreshadow. But I feel like if Christian were to just appear, I think that would have been a much more positive reaction with the internet or the community in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I do give it a 2 thumbs up as well because I see this in a much more positive way, like you
Same.
do.
Same.
So
Well, I mean, it's easy for us Christian Cage like diehards to
exactly.
defend it, right? But
I feel like we're biased, Brayden.
I know I'm being biased, but I don't care. It's my review, right? So I could say I was excited as fuck to see him come out, even though I knew it was happening. I was still glad to see it. It's like, yes, I was right.
Oh, you see my reaction? Like as soon as the 9 hit, I said, "Oh, it's Christian." You saw my
Yeah,
reaction,
Gabe did in
so.
fact send me his reaction via Facebook video. I did see it. I did listen to it.
No.
I just kind of sung along with the as it went on. I'm like, oh, they're even bringing back the TNA theme. I can't believe it. I had a big smile on my face. So now we're gonna go into the main event. So this is another. So the Christian Cage signing for me, plus this main event, really elevated the show to being very good rather than just. It elevated it from being like a 6.5 to 7 to about a 7.5, right? We could say that. Like, instead of being a meh show or just borderline good, it went to being good to very good. Because this main event was awesome. So the main event was the Exploding Barbwire Deathmatch with Onita from Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling talking about the history of it and how it matters to both Omega and Moxley and all this stuff. And that it's the most dangerous thing they're ever going to do. I loved the pre-match video package they did for it. It was very, very well done.
So you talk about how we remember some of these matches and highlights and everything. Yep. I remember this match clearly.
I remember this match clearly as well because
this was such a great match.
I was so into it. So Kenny Omega defends the world title, AEW World Championship against Jon Moxley. So Moxley comes out and he's wearing a jacket like Onita used to wear back in the 90s because he knows exactly what type of match he's about to have, and he knows it's probably going to suck, but he knows if he can work his ass off, it's going to be something memorable. Kenny Omega comes out in street clothes, mainly because he knew he was going to be taking barbed wire bumps, so you don't want to be... Though Moxley did end up kind of losing his shirt and took some crazy shit without any top on. Kenny was much more smart. Kenny made sure he had layers on. He had fucking like big boots. He had the fucking like the baggy jeans I thought it
was smart too, because if you think about it, the baby faces bleed more often than the heels.
Yeah, so I mean, it just made more making sure nobody could see any of his blood except for the blood on his face was a nice touch. So they come out and
they did look at Austin for that one.
And so this match had like a really slow build. They were all about trying to get the other opponent into like the ring ropes because remember, it's an exploding barb. When you make contact with a barbed wire, things go boom. So they would stop and make sure they didn't touch it, but they were also aggressively trying to linger and push the other opponent into the ropes. Then they would fight off and use some moves. The psychology of this match is off the charts. You can believe that these guys are working the way they are to A, avoid it for themselves, and B, try to like defend for their life and get the other person into it. And there was a constant struggle, a back and forth struggle between these two men to get into these ring ropes, these barbed wire covered ropes. Well, I guess only a couple of them were actually barbed wire covered. There was a couple spots where they didn't, so they could do some shit between them, and on the outside there were a couple that didn't have any barbed wire over top, but the majority of the ring did. So say three corners of the ropes had barbed wire, whereas there was one little safety escape hatch for them to do some stuff and because Kenny's got to bounce off the ropes. That's his fucking thing. He's got to bounce off the ropes sometimes during this fucking match. So he did. And they made sure that there was an area where he could safely bounce off of that didn't have any barbed wires, therefore it didn't need any pyrotechnic explosions, we shall say.
I feel that the referee in a hazmat suit was a little too much.
It did get my attention for a bit, but then he just sort of blended in there, you know, like
he did blend in because it was just white.
It did get my attention. There were times where I'm like, oh, the fucking referee's in this fucking suit. That's a little much, but I guess it just added to like the danger, I suppose. Like the referee felt like you need to wear a hazmat suit to fucking call this thing.
Then what does that make of the wrestlers around the ring or the people on the tables?
What actually surprised me was that, well, it shouldn't have surprised me because the heel should get the heat. Moxley is the first one to actually bang into the barbed wire, and you see the fucking pyro go off. Boom, 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 boom. Moxley fucking covers his eyes. He sells it like he just got exploded. And this is where Kenny kind of gets the heat, and he pushes Moxley's face into some barbed wire that's in the ring, like by the boards, and starts beating him down with the barbed wire bat. Now Moxley is just soaked with blood, and he's getting beat down, and he's just getting like the heat's just being put on him. That you're waiting for the comeback and all that stuff. I believe Omega, as a part of the heat, even put Moxley through the first barbed wire board. Did he not? The first one that was in the right-hand corner?
Yeah. It was only once, and it was the best spot, in my opinion,
of the match, right?
Wrestling wise, because there are better spots in that match, in my opinion, which isn't a bad thing, because this spot was awesome. A Death Rider off of the apron onto the board, but what was sucky, though, was that the explosion that was supposed to happen was already a foreshadow of what was going to happen later on. It was a small dud.
Oh, yeah, I was going to build up to that. So that was when Moxley made his comeback. There was a moment where Kenny Tiger suplexed him through the first board. There was two boards set up in the ring, right? There was one on the right-hand side and one on the left-hand side.
Oh, that's the boards you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, the boards in the corner. So as part of the heat, Kenny ended up giving him a dragon suplex through one of them, and Moxley took it, and it looked fucking brutal.
Bad, yeah.
And that's how he continued the beatdown. And then there came a point where Moxley ends up just very desperately getting out of the way, and it's Omega's turn to go into the ropes. And now it is Omega who has used too much momentum. He has missed Moxley, and he has no choice but to propel forward into these barbed wire ropes. And now he gets caught in the explosion. And now it's Kenny's turn to do the selling. And now he's blinded and all fucked up because he just got exploded into these ropes. And this is where you kind of see Moxley's eyes light up. And he starts going after all the barbed wire weapons. There's a barbed wire covered chair, barbed wire bat, and he's unloading on Kenny, and Kenny's selling, and Moxley's making this big, massive comeback. Moxley ends up throwing Kenny, or he kind of gives him a hip toss through the other barbed wire board, and it broke in the corner, but it didn't break all that good. It didn't break as good as the first one in the right-hand corner, but it still broke. And this leads to him just beating on Kenny and beating on him until, as Gabe mentioned, the spot of the match where he gives him the paradigm shift, which is that elevated double underhook DDT. Moxley hits his finish on Omega off of the ring apron onto this barbed wire board. Now, I know a lot of people were saying that since no explosion happened there, that's whatever. I didn't completely think about that because I thought only the ropes were going to be giving off explosions. I didn't think anything on the outside was going to be doing that.
That was hammered in a lot, Brady.
Was it? I just must have missed that.
The ropes. It was also like the
I did not know anything on the floor was supposed to go boom boom. I knew the ropes were.
There's landmines in this match, and I'm like, oh damn. I guess
so. When I just thought they were barbed wire boards to take a fucking bump on. So to me, I was like, oh wow, fucking paradigm shift onto a barbed wire board. Kenny's dead. Fucking Moxley is shirtless, and he's fucking getting chewed up by this barbed wire that he now has to slowly and methodically get out of, and it looks horrible. Again, a lot of people were expecting some big boom there. I wasn't, but I can understand people who might have thought so would have been disappointed by that. Me, I didn't expect it, and I didn't think it was going to happen anyway, so I had no expectation of that.
No, yeah, I had the expectation, so it brought me out of it, because, like, in actuality, it's a Death Rider or a Paradigm Shift.
Yeah.
To barbed wire off the apron to the outside, and I'm like, oh damn, what an explosion.
So to me, I see this immaculate move onto a very brutal surface, and to me that was enough to really get me even more into it. And both guys take a really long time to sell. I think Moxley got it worse because he actually had to fucking lay there and get out of it. Kenny just got it rolled, tucked his fucking chin and rolled and missed rolled over most of it. Now Moxley's got to fucking methodically get up out of this like fucking death trap. And so that was the area where they didn't have any barbed wire so that they could do shit off the apron. As I said, there was one section of ropes that had no barbed wire whatsoever. That was one of them. They both roll back into the ring and They do some more stuff, and they go into the ropes a bit more, and it's very, very back and forth. A spot that I absolutely loved was Omega is able to actually overcome Moxley's flurry of offense, and he actually gets him up top for a one-winged angel, and he hits it, and he's about to pin Moxley, and we think it's over, but Moxley kicks the exploding ring rope, which is close to Omega's face, and the pyro goes off, and Omega sells the explosion and fucking sells it and rolls backwards, so it cuts off the pin. So Moxley didn't actually kick out, so it still hasn't been.
The referee back too.
Yeah, but Moxley didn't actually kick out, so the one-winged angel is still protected, even though it didn't get the win. Like Moxley didn't physically kick out of it; he moved his foot to cause the explosion to break up the pin. I thought that was very creative. I thought that was a very creative way to.
I think that was the best spot in the match, in my opinion. I think that was the best part.
And that leads to Moxley. He's about to make this big comeback, which of course triggers Gallows and Anderson to come in, which anybody who's been watching the story had to know there was going to be some sort of wacky interference. I know some people were fine with it, some people weren't. I didn't. I mean, they've been interfering in Kenny's shit. They're part of his entourage. I would have been surprised if they didn't show up. They end up getting in. They go in through the safe spot where there's no exploding barbed wire on the ropes, and they beat down Moxley. He tries to make a comeback. He tries to make a comeback on them while he's fighting them off. Kenny ends up going low when Moxley takes out both Anderson and Gallows with weapons, and then when he goes to attack Omega more, Omega goes downtown, gives him the low blow. They triple team him. They beat him up. And then they set up the barbed wire chair in the middle of the ring, and Omega lifts Moxley up, delivers the one-winged angel on a barbed wire chair, and he pins Moxley to retain the AEW World Championship. This match ruled!
One thing that really surprised me too was that bat that they gave Kenny too, because I thought like, oh, why the hell is there 2 barbed wire bats? And until they hit John Moxley with, like, oh shit, it's an exploding barbed wire bat.
I might mind that Kenny also, by being thrown into the explosions and being tossed through a board and all that, he ended up getting color too. Both guys were bloody throughout much of this match. They were
definitely,
color.
but not as much as John.
No, Moxley was bleeding the most. He took a lot more damage. But these guys worked it great. I didn't know how they were going to make it work, but they did for the actual in-match portion. What I must say though, and we forgot to mention this part, they also said that the entire ring area would go boom after a half hour. So when it got to about 10 minutes beforehand, so when there was like 20 minutes, we hear this alarm go off, and Moxley's like, oh shit, there's an alarm. I'm running out of time. This thing's gonna fucking explode, and he feels like he's gotta, beat Kenny quick. And then it kind of goes quiet for a while. Then after fucking Omega wins, now the alarm gets loud again. Oh, and it's gonna explode. It's gonna explode. And so they fucking Omega and his trio and the trio of baddies continue to beat down Moxley. They want to take him out so that he is incapacitated, and he's gonna explode with the rest of the ring when the time runs out at that half-hour mark. And so they do that. They beat him down after the match. They handcuff him. They leave him for dead in the middle of the ring. The countdown is very close to getting close to being to 0. This is where the whole fucking post-match angle and finish went to shit. So Eddie Kingston comes out and he's panicking. He's saying, somebody's got to fucking save my friend. Somebody's got to save my friend. He's going to explode. Fuck. He runs down to the ring. He's panicked. He's trying to get Mox up. He realizes that they're fucking out of time. So Kingston covers Moxley with his body, does the fucking, the fetal position pose, and the timer goes off, and a couple sparklers on the ring post go off, and a couple nice little swirl pyros go off by some ropes, and that's it. And it's nowhere close to even looking like a legitimate explosion. The fucking flames are nowhere near the guys. It looked awful. It looked horrible. It was the most unthreatening threat you've ever seen in your life. It was a fart in church. It was all what you were told. It looked bad. And unfortunately, and this is why Kenny Omega was so fucking allegedly pissed backstage, was that since that's all anybody is remembering from this show, nobody remembers the quality of the great main event. All they're focusing on is that fucking lame pyro display at the end. And I feel really bad for all the men involved. I feel bad for Eddie.
Here's the problem. Here's the main problem. You did not need to have that.
No.
You did not need to have that end.
The only exploding thing could have just been the pyro going off in the ropes, and you could have just beat him down. Eddie Kingston makes a traditional save and fights them off, and you go off the air that way, and you have Kingston kind of check on Moxley, and he sells the damage from the match, and that's it. Right? Like, there were other ways to do this.
Too. And here's what's also shit, too. Like, in the rules, they kept saying if the match doesn't end in 30 minutes, then
the ring goes boom.
They never said, oh, no matter what, the whole fucking like ring area is gonna explode in 30 minutes. Like,
so when Kenny got the pin, I'm like, okay, so there's no threat of this thing going on.
Yeah, like the timer.
And all of a sudden, the timer just started going again. I'm like, what? Oh, because they're gonna do it to write Moxley off. Okay, I got it. And Eddie Kingston comes out. And he's trying to save Moxley, and this is, I'm assuming, his big babyface turn to make him a good guy. And it is. I'm pretty sure that's what this is leading to, and it's going to be, I think, going off this pay-per-view, that Eddie Kingston is going to be positioned as Kenny Omega's next program for the title. That's what I think coming out of this show.
Well, we'll see, because he's gonna cut a promo on tonight's episode.
Eddie is?
I cannot wait. Yeah,
Eddie is? Okay, I definitely look forward to that too. Then I didn't know they announced that. I didn't know he was talking tonight.
Yeah, Brian Alvarez from the Observer said that he's gonna be making a promo about this. So
we all know he's gonna bury it. We all know he's gonna bury it beneath the earth, as he should.
I was like, I'm surprised they're even scheduling him to cut a promo, because he was basically dead from that dud. So I don't know whose story to go off of anymore. Like, what they portrayed, what he portrayed, what Tony Khan even said on Twitter. Like, You heard what we said on Twitter, right, about Kenny's bombs?
Yeah, that he's a horrible bombsmith. He couldn't make one worth of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's their
Tony
cover up.
Khan's
So I
like,
imagine
yeah,
that Eddie's gonna go out there. He's gonna cut a promo making fun of Kenny, and that starts their shit. And they just go on like they didn't even have a dud at the end of this pay per view.
yeah,
They
I
just
feel
go
like-
along with the program. You know what I mean? So they're gonna use it as a way to add beef to Eddie and Kenny's thing, but that kind of undermines it a bit because it was supposed to be Eddie saving Moxley from Kenny's diabolical plan that turns him good. Now it's all about, well, your dud of a bomb didn't kill me or my friends. So I'm gonna make fun of you for it, and then that's how we're gonna really start this program. I mean, I'm wondering how they're gonna fucking save this shit. But anyway, it kind of sucks because this was Eddie Kingston's big babyface turn. It's what's probably gonna lead to him getting a match against Kenny Omega for the world title long term. Probably double or nothing unless they do it on television beforehand. But I think that's big enough to build for pay per view. I don't think you should do that on TV. I think like it'd be like the idea that they could get from this again. Dud aside, we're just gonna look at it from a Kingston versus Omega perspective, right? So Kingston's been a veteran of the indie scene for what feels like over a decade, long time,
probably
if not more.
even
yeah,
almost 2 decades in my opinion.
So you could build this thing where it's like he's fighting for the honor of his fallen friend. You could make it kind of like that. You know, it's because of Kenny and the Good Brothers that Moxie's out of action due to that match. But I want to finally win the big one on a big promotion, and you're my hurdle to get through. And you can build this big, triumphant story. Now, whether they actually pay it off and have Eddie win in the end briefly, only for Kenny to regain it, like a Mick Foley gets it for like fucking 2 weeks and then drops it again, deal is to anybody to be seen, or if it's just like a one and done where Kenny just beats him and that's it. But I think very clearly there will be Kenny Omega versus Eddie Kingston for the world title at some point in the spring. Do you think it should be saved for pay-per-view, or do you think they should do it on TV? What do you think is the plan? I would imagine that they save it for pay-per-view and they build it long-term. That's what AEW seems to do. What do you think, though?
Well, number one, I don't know if Kingston is going to be the challenge just yet because I remember you texting me what's next for Omega, and I instantly thought, oh, he's definitely going to go to Impact. Like, there's no one to challenge him, in my opinion. And guess what? We're having Moose and Rich Swann go at it, and winner will fight Kenny for each other's titles. And I'm like, okay, that's definitely
that's Impact pay per view though. Like that has nothing to do with AEW other than the fact that their title sets. Is their title at stake? Is their title at stake? Okay,
it's a double title thing.
Okay,
so I was just thinking maybe they're gonna put TNA people on AEW, like whoever wins that match. I think that's gonna happen next week or so. So I think that Kenny's just gonna have a program with either Moose or Rich Swann. So that's how I see it.
Even on AEW television.
Yeah,
you don't think he does a thing where like he feuds with Impact people on Impact and feuds with AEW people on Dynamite?
I don't think so, because
really?
That's how I see it. So I think just to get TNA over.
I think for sure Kenny's winning both belts though. He definitely
sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, marketing standpoint, it would definitely get me to tune in on Dynamite and on Impact to see where this feud is going, because it's a cross promotion. I mean, that's the whole point. So I think it's gonna be Kenny and Moose or Swann on AEW. So that's how I see it. For Eddie Kingston, I don't know what's gonna go on for him. It all depends on his promo, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out tonight, I suppose, in a matter of hours. So that was AEW Revolution. 2 great matches, a lot of good but underwhelming ones in between. It gets a solid 1 thumb up as a show. Like, I thought it was good.
Oh, I agree.
But it was far from great. Like, I would not give this show a 2 thumbs up as a show. I give 2 thumbs up to the main event. And I give 2 thumbs up to the opener, but the show overall, it just gets a meager, flimsy 1 for me. What about your overall? Your obviously your match of the night was the main event. What was your second favorite match, and another match you enjoyed? Oh, I guess the Miro stuff. You could kind of say that. So
that was my favorite, the Miro match. I think the second best match was the tag team title match, obviously. But my favorite was, I mean, like, for the weirdest reasons, because it's just Miro is finally being booked as he should, and there's a lot of things to go off of, for Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford, Miro. So overall, I mean, I know I told you at first, like, oh, this is probably the weakest AEW pay-per-view of all, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I think I just said that off of like just.
I
First
think
off
All
of,
Out in September was worse than this show. I watched both,
definitely.
right? I have
That was
higher
too long and
opinions of
boring.
Revolution than I do for All Out of last year. So
So this was a good show, but definitely not
nothing great.
par with their usual
I will
high
say
caliber
Takeover
pay-per-views.
Vengeance Day was a better wrestling show than this one.
That's
Yeah,
definitely for sure. That's
I got
I
no
think
problem
Vengeance
saying
is a
that.
good competitor with those high caliber AEW pay-per-views too.
Yep.
So I think
Takeover, I enjoyed Takeover as a wrestling show more than Revolution.
of course
So,
I think it's a thumb up, like you
yep.
said. Yeah, there's nothing else I could really
You also give 2 thumbs up to the main event, right?
Oh, of course. Like I
Fucking
said,
shitty pyro ending aside, because that doesn't count. It happened after the
yeah,
match.
because
So,
I don't know, putting away the technicalities, the I think the wrestling was phenomenal. The story that they portrayed.
the
Okay,
storytelling was immaculately good.
let me put my opponent through this exploding barbed wire, and that was the story.
It was a very
And they
believable
were,
struggle. A very
and yeah,
believable
the
struggle.
struggle was very cool. I mean, yeah, I guess it kind of soured out with Good Brothers Carl and Luke Gallows, but it's just.
But you'd have been a fool to think
it,
that they weren't going to interfere.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but it's still not a good reason to have them in. Like, it's still like all chicken shit heel stuff. Like, we know Kenny Omega. He's a heel. He could be a heel in his own natural way
But they gave
alone.
Kenny the exploding bat. It blinded
That I
Moxley
mean,
to set up for
that
the
that
finish.
is. I forgot to say that is the
Yeah.
best thing about their run-in.
They gave him an
But
exploding
obviously
bat,
Kenny,
baby.
but Kenny could have went under the ring and he could have grabbed it from there if he thought
True,
about
there are
it.
other ways to do it, but I'm trying to defend their interference. He's a heel. He's got a heel group that help him. It's like, I don't know. I don't find that shit takes away from it for me.
But being a heel doesn't mean you get to do this and that, whatever. There are some limitations. Like, just because you're a heel doesn't mean you can get away with whatever. I mean, that's why there's a whole term called X-Pac heel, or X-Pac heat. So, I mean, I guess it's traditional heel heat to have a run-in and a tier victory. But yeah, no. Other than that, run-in aside, phenomenal match. I enjoyed it.
Definitely the best match of the show, without question.
Man, he did. Wait, we forgot about this. He did a one-wing angel onto a chair, a standing chair, like a fully open chair.
I mentioned that
not
at
even
the finish. I talked about that. I just forgot about the exploding bat that led up to it. I mentioned that they opened up the barbed wire chair and he did it while it was open. Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, that was a barbed wire chair. I thought that was a regular chair.
It might have been. I forget. It's been a few days.
Hey, we just know this.
Chair. It was open. It was like a CCW bump, is what was delivered.
Yeah,
the chair was open. It was not folded. People.
Yeah, I'll do anything with a folded chair, but
fucking open like
chair, that I cannot imagine like
would
the
suck
bruises
to
you
take.
get from
It
that.
would suck to take, man.
One-wing angel on it. Oh yeah, great match. We can't say anything more, to be honest.
Great match on a decently good show that could have been better, and we know AEW is capable of better, and we'll see how they do with Double or Nothing.
I feel like this show would have been a thumb and a half if they took out some matches. Like, I felt like 3 hours, like over 3 hours.
It also was
really
it was a little
AEW.
too long. It was a little too long.
Like, we didn't need the Miro match. We didn't need the big money match. If anything,
I don't know.
tag team
I feel you
Royale.
need. What would you have Page do? I couldn't imagine this pay-per-view without Adam and Page competing. What would you have him do?
Well, not fight freaking Matt Hardy in this stupid angle, in my opinion. He could have done. Oh, he could have been in the ladder match. In my opinion.
True. And lose to Scorpio Sky? I don't know.
No, and won to Scorpio Sky. What are you talking about?
But what if they're saving that for Double or Nothing? They gotta have a filler opponent for Darby tonight, and I don't know.
You're right. Well, I'm just saying. What else? Oh, the tag team battle royale. I think that could have been a good opener for Dynamite. I don't think that. I don't know.
I enjoyed it, and I think I enjoyed it a lot more than other people. I'll defend that being on the card.
Felt it was, like I said, it was rushed. But no, those two matches alone, the big money match and the Miro match, definitely would have been not needed and okay still.
The show did go a little long. It did kind of drag by the end, but I still thought it was a good affair. But I do know AEW is capable of much better shows, so I look forward to the next one, and hopefully their flagship show is a stronger pay-per-view than Revolution was, because All Out I thought was pretty bad. I think it's probably the worst pay-per-view they've done. And then they followed it up with Full Gear, which ended up being my personal favorite wrestling show of 2020. And that even includes the 2-month period where people were allowed to attend shows. I liked Full Gear better than last year's Revolution with a crowd, and Takeover Portland, which had a crowd. A regular crowd. I enjoyed Full Gear 2020 the most out of any wrestling show last year. So we'll see. They might have had a bit of a more meh show this time, but who knows? Double or Nothing could knock it out of the park, and we'll be singing their praises hardcore again. Because there was still stuff to like on this show, even if it wasn't up to the level of other ones.
Definitely,
still, definitely. So that's what I have to say there. If you got any plugs, I will send the line to you. If not, give the old rebound back, and we will tie this review up for the night.
Nothing new from my end other than for more of me. Stick around to the Bracer channel because for now this is my home of content creating at the moment. So, because who knows it? Gabe knows it.
Okay, so before we go, here's where you can listen to us. So we are a part of Anchor, which is a podcasting platform owned by Spotify. But you can also listen to us aside from Spotify on Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Copy RSS. If you use any of those following platforms, you can follow us on any of them to stay up to date with all of our audio podcasts. Again, we do predictions and reviews for all 4 AEW pay-per-views of the year, all 4 to 5 NXT TakeOver events, and usually WrestleMania and other events like SummerSlam and Royal Rumble maybe, where we feel it's worth it. We don't follow all the horror show at Extreme Rules or any of those fucking Million B shows that happen. Usually just the long-term heritage WWE pay-per-views that we feel is worth covering, which will, in fact, be WrestleMania. That'll be the next, I guess, predictions we do. Although, apparently, there's going to be an NXT TakeOver on the Thursday before WrestleMania weekend, which is odd. So they're going to have their go-home show of NXT on Wednesday and then immediately have a TakeOver the next night. Seems odd to me, but apparently that's the plan, according to the schedule. So maybe that'll be the next time. I'll do like a prediction on maybe Monday before their go-home show about the card, or the day of their go-home show on Wednesday before the alleged takeover airs on that Thursday. I mean, we'll have to find out. But that WrestleMania weekend will be the next time you hear from us. So, and also, if you happen to see the video form of this podcast and you enjoy listening to it via YouTube, you can see my channel. It's the Bracer YouTube channel. Give it a subscribe if you like our little content from this episode, you want to listen to more, as well as if you have any interest in Nintendo speculation and all those sort of wondering about this video game, that video game, what Nintendo's going to do next, all that sort of speculation that's fun to kind of just rack your mind around. What I like to call it is like message board talk, except in a charismatic video format. If you enjoy that, and in terms of Nintendo and their games, I do that as well. Give the channel a subscribe for that reason. Until then, we'll see you all on WrestleMania weekend, and we're going to Spanish fly on out of here. See you in April.